Hello out there, everybody. Manny here at Area 503. And I hope you all have been well since our last video.
Hey everyone, today I got a special kind of video for you all, because this episode marks 100 episodes of Area 503. And so we're going to go back and take a look at some of the highlights from these episodes. But first, we have to get a little formality out of the way.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr.
Happy birthday 503. Happy birthday 503. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday 503. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday 503. Sing it with me. Happy birthday 503. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday 503. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday 503. And many more. Well, alright, now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and take a little trip through time and review all 100 episodes of Area 503. This should be fun. Let's get started.
Hello out there everyone, this is Manny at Area 503, and today I'd like to talk to you about Oumuamua. Officially designated Object 1L 2017 U1.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about Jeannette Island. And if you don't know anything about Jeannette Island, that's okay because I don't either. We'll have to figure it out together. September 7th, the Alamogordo Daily News reports that Sunspot Observatory is closed due to a security issue.
The Sunspot Observatory is empty, and it's unclear why. The facility, located about 15 miles south of Cloudcroft, was evacuated yesterday for security reasons.
Today's video is just going to be a short update about a couple of topics, including the delay of the James Webb Space Telescope, the confirmation of Kepler 1625b and its new exomoon, and JAXA's Hayabusa 2 mission. Today I just want to talk a little bit about neutrinos, and more specifically about an ice cube who's chillin' in Antarctica. No, not that one. This one. The Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory. I was doing some research on the NASA site the other day, and I came across this article on the ozone hole over Antarctica, and it made me really question what I know about the ozone hole, and so I decided to do a whole bunch of research into it, and I just wanted to share with you guys what I have found. Up here in the Pacific Northwest, we have a long history of unexplained phenomenon and UFO sightings, going all the way back to the late 40s. So in today's video, we're just going to take a little bit of time and review some of these cases and look at some of the evidence. I found this application called Asteroid Alert on the Android Marketplace. And here in October, man, just look at that. There's a whole cluster of them coming in. It's starting to look like there may be a lot more near-Earth objects than I originally thought. So I did a little bit of research on the NASA webpage, and I found out about this project called NEOWISE. After returning from his survey, Kulik convinces the Russian government to fund an expedition based on the hopes of finding meteoric iron. In 1927, Kulik would mount an expedition to return to the Tunguska River area. After arranging for local guides to lead him to the area, Kulik would describe the spectacle that he saw as overwhelming. Where he expected to find a crater and a meteor, instead he found a ground zero. It was a zone 8 kilometers or about 5 miles across, where the trees were scorched and devoid of branches, but were left standing upright.
Karen Seager, 94.
Go ahead.
Any military traffic you got right now?
34.260.
134.26 Singapore 25 confirm.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, sir, there's nothing showing on either primary or secondary.
Okay, it was moving so fast, it's like you can no longer see it, but yes, thank you.
990. 555, thank you.
Well, Jenny and Ken, when you see it in the sky, it's a light and you don't know what it is. They call it an unidentified flying object, and just the phrase itself has a little buzz that gets everybody's attention. This St. Helens woman you just mentioned there says that this has appeared, these lights have appeared over her house the last 2 nights in a row. Her name is Michelle Gabrielli, and she shared these videos with us that she took of these lights over her house. She says she counted at least 15 of the strange lights, and that they seem to fly apart at times and then fly back together.
I don't know what that was last night. I don't know. I can only speculate. For me, it's an unidentified flying object. That doesn't mean it's an alien. It just means there was something in the sky that we didn't do.
The announcement reads, ESA's gravity mapper reveals relics of ancient continents under Antarctic ice. The ESA stated that they had finished studying data that had been received from the Gravity, Field, and Ocean Circulation Explorer, or GOCE, which was operational from March 2009 through November 2013. InSight was originally launched May 5th, 2018. The primary mission of InSight is to deliver a stationary lander that will deploy a seismometer called SEIS, and also to deploy a heat probe that will measure heat transfer. Scientists are hoping that by studying this data, they can further understand the creation and evolution of all of the planets in our solar system.
We have other
We are now
spacecraft.
receiving InSight telemetry via the Marco relay.
It's flowing into this station.
InSight is now traveling at 1,000 meters per second.
Very close.
Once InSight slows to about 400 meters per second, it will deploy its 12-meter diameter supersonic parachute. The parachute will deploy nominally at about Mach 1.7. Lander separation commanded. Altitude 600 meters. Gravity turn. Altitude 400 meters.
We're getting there.
300 meters. 200 meters. 80 meters. 60 meters. 50 meters. Constant velocity. 37 meters. 30 meters. 20 meters. 17 meters. Standing by for touchdown.
I think the look on these two guys' faces pretty much sums up what we're all feeling right about now.
Touchdown confirmed.
In this update, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the major discoveries in science and technology over the last few weeks. November 26 marked the very special date in the Mars InSight mission. InSight successfully navigated to Mars and landed on the surface, where it then began the deployment phase of its solar collectors, seismometer, and temperature probe. InSight was sent to collect data on the state of Mars and to measure its vital statistics. This project was the first of its kind to test the new CubeSat program called MARCO. This successful test means that these CubeSats will revolutionize the way that missions are run in the future. Using revolutionary ice-penetrating radar, scientists in Antarctica discovered lost pieces of the supercontinent Gondwana. This clearly shows that Antarctica is made up of two parts, one from South Africa and one from Australia. I have personally always felt like there is something more to Antarctica. On December 13th, 2018, the New York Times posted this article titled, "Two Workers Die at American Research Base in Antarctica." Two support workers at the main United States research base in Antarctica died Wednesday in an accident at a generator building, the National Science Foundation said. The victims were fire technicians employed by PAE, a contractor based in Arlington, Virginia that provides logistical and technical support in Antarctica and elsewhere. The Foundation, a federal agency that runs the United States program in Antarctica, did not make public information about the victims, but said their next of kin had been notified. Emails and phone calls to PAE on Thursday morning were not immediately returned.
Fortunately, there's no need for that.
Believe it or not, the theory behind this tower goes back more than 100 years to a scientist named Nikola Tesla. Yes, that Tesla.
The man who gave us AC electric motors, which eventually turned into electric cars, had a theory about sending electricity through the air. Now the technology exists to make that possible. But first, Visiv Technologies has other experiments to carry out.
We're focusing early on communications and signaling, things like regional GPS, radio navigation, and broadcast signaling.
And eventually, possibly, send electricity through the air, doing away with high-tension electrical wires and towers like these. Visiv says its experiments will in no way harm its neighbors.
We have no desire to disrupt their lives in any way. We want to improve their lives and improve the world around us.
Project Blue Book is a series by the History Channel about the Air Force program of the same name. 2018 sure was an exciting year. On December 28th, the New York skyline was lit up by this blue light. It would later be announced that it was a transformer explosion. What do you all think? Just outside of Kaiser, Oregon, a man spots red, green, and blue lights in a Y formation that change shape in the night sky. The witness took a photograph and video, however, he said that they did not show what he saw. Here is the photo that the witness supplied, and when you really zoom up on this thing, it really caught my attention because it reminds me of a case of a sighting just a few months ago. This mission is one of several undertaken by the various space agencies to send satellites to large near-Earth objects. A similar mission is underway at NASA. The OSIRIS-REx mission has been sent to Bennu to collect samples and return them for study as well.
And NASA's New Horizons spacecraft was diverted in 2015 to intercept and photograph Ultima Thule. New Horizons was able to photograph Ultima Thule and is attempting to gather data to characterize the asteroid.
Wally Broecker, a geophysicist at Columbia, published a 4-page paper that will change the world. His paper was titled, "Climate Change. Are we on the brink of a pronounced global warming?" In his paper, Broecker states that if man-made dust is unimportant as a major cause of climate change, then a strong case can be made that the present cooling trend will, within a decade or so, give way to a pronounced warming induced by carbon dioxide. By analogy with similar events in the past, the natural climatic cooling, which since the 1940s has more than compensated for the carbon dioxide effect, will soon bottom out. Once this happens, the exponential rise in the atmospheric carbon dioxide content will tend to become a significant factor, and by early next century will have driven the mean planetary temperature beyond the limits experienced during the last 1,000 years.
Wow, check that craziness out. The moon passes right in front of the sun, and then it pauses for a moment, and then it changes direction. But that can't happen, can it? And if it did happen, there'd be noticeable effects here on Earth, as the oceans and the tides are closely linked to the moon's gravitational pull, right? So what's going on here? Let's go ahead and dig into this just a little bit more. Retrograde motion is the apparent motion of a planet in a direction opposite to that of other bodies within its system, as observed from a particular vantage point. In this example, the first red dot indicates the SDO. The second red dot indicates the moon. And this line shows the intersection of the moon across the DSO's line of sight. And as you can see here, the orbit of the SDO is lower than the moon. And as we start the animation, you can see that the SDO also travels faster than the moon. But we're also going to see something else kind of strange. As the SDO passes the moon, it rotates to fix its view on the sun, and this makes it appear that the moon changes direction. Today I just want to talk with you all a little bit about a strange piece that I found while doing research. I came across this article titled, "US Detects Huge Meteor Explosion." And I will put a link to the article in the video description so you can read it for yourself. But just to summarize, a huge fireball exploded in the Earth's atmosphere in December, according to NASA. The blast was the second largest of its kind in 30 years, but it went largely unnoticed because it blew up over the Bering Sea. The force of the explosion is estimated to be about 10 times the energy of the Hiroshima bomb. So on December 18th, this asteroid came flying into our atmosphere at about 32 kilometers per second or 20 miles per second, and it was on a pretty steep trajectory of about 7 degrees. It's reported that the asteroid measured several meters in size, and it exploded about 25.6 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. BBC reports that military satellites picked up the blast last year, and NASA was notified of the event by the US Air Force. It was also reported that the fireball came in over an area that was not too far from routes used by commercial planes, flying between North America and Asia. So it seems investigators are checking with the airlines to see if there was any witnesses or sightings. I'm sure it's no big surprise to you all that I'm a huge fan of Star Trek. That's right, I'm a Trekkie. So when I found this long-lost episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, I just knew I had to bring it out to you all. And so without further ado, here it is.
Captain's log, Stardate 46192.3. We have arrived at Starbase 112 and are loading relief supplies destined for Tagra 4, an ecologically devastated planet in the Argolis cluster. We have also taken on a rather unusual passenger.
eternity never looked so lovely.
You must be Commander Riker.
You look like dresses. Besides, you look good in a dress. No! We fight.
Commander Riker will join you in a moment.
Shut up! Shut up! I said shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Does it close your mouth and stop talking?
Low torpedo base, off phases. Low torpedo base, off phases. Low torpedo base, off phases. Right of will.
What?
Fire, Mr. Gun. Fire, Mr. Gun. Fire! Fire! Laser 1. Fire. Laser 2. Fire.
Fire.
Fire. Fire.
Fire everything!
Fire at will. What the hell?
We're through running from these bastards.
Guinan, I need your help. Can you step over here a minute?
What the hell?
I've had enough of this. Shields up, maximum strength.
Shields up.
I strongly recommend as we go to red alert, we should assume a more defensive posture.
I agree, Captain.
Fire, Mr. Gun. Fire, Mr. Gun. Fire! Fire! Laser 1. Fire. Laser 2. Fire.
Fire.
Fire. Fire.
Fire everything!
Fire at will.
What the hell? What the hell is going on? I've had it. I've had it. I've had it. I've had it. I've had it.
Beta, is there any record anywhere of any occurrence even vaguely similar to this?
Accessing.
Negative, sir.
Let's put all this technology to work, but get the hell out of here. To work. I see. Phasers on stem. Energize.
Social media was lit up by a falling meteor that lit up the skies over northern Florida on Saturday night. Videos posted by witnesses who happened to be out driving with their dash cams turned on showed the meteor streaking down over the Florida sky at about 11:55 p.m. on Saturday night. The National Weather Service's Tallahassee Forecast Office tweeted images of the meteor showing up on a lightning map. Forecasters explained that the meteor is not the bright line of light, but actually a quick and easy-to-miss purple dot that briefly blinks in the panhandle. While the meteor appears to have fallen between Tallahassee and Live Oak, a witness reported seeing it in Gainesville.
Our first clip is on March 5th, 2019, from Melbourne, Australia. And this clip actually shows 3 distinct moving objects, one of which seems to alter its course. There it is, right there. Check it out. I think this is more of a UFO, like an unacknowledged flying object, because to me this looks more like a missile launch or a secret weapons test launch possibly, or maybe even a satellite launch. Maybe we can get a better look at it here with some color correction. Oh yeah, you can definitely see that thing moving across, and it almost looks like it's more of a straight line here than it did before. So maybe that is just a satellite. I really can't tell, so I'm going to label this one unidentified. Take a look at this clip from August 2018 over northern France.
It's very strange. It's very low. It's flying very low. It looks really long. It's definitely got quite a bit of speed up, considering how far away it must be, because that water tower must be at least like a mile or 2 away, and it looks like it's potentially half that distance or more on the other side. It has a very weird, really odd way of flying.
The internet's been on fire recently over a massive structure that was detected floating over the moon. Some of the larger ufology channels picked up on it, and I started to research it a little bit. You guys are going to be amazed at what I found. But when you see this footage, you're going to realize why everyone was so excited in the first place. It all started on April 9th when a YouTuber named Daniel Tumani posted this video on their channel. When they zoom up on this video, you get a really good shot of this massive circular object that's floating off of the moon and appears to move around behind it. It's actually pretty rare that you get footage of this quality, so you can understand why everyone was so excited about this piece. I have to admit, I was pretty excited about it. But there were just a couple of red flags that I had to investigate before I'd really sold myself that this was real. The first thing that struck me as odd about this video was the inordinately low subscriber count for the original poster. When I noticed that, I started to look at the rest of the stats for the video, and I noticed there was no description, no date, and no relevant or identifying information for this event. That immediately made me suspicious. So I decided to take a look through the original poster's other videos. There was a few other UFO and some paranormal sighting videos on there. For example, here's another one with no date, no location, or... Whoa! What was that? This guy's totally full of shit. After about 5 minutes of researching this video clip, YouTube threw this suggestion at me from Hollywood Scotty back in 2018. You won't believe this. Is it just me, or does that look exactly like a mirror image of the other video? Let's take a look at them side by side. On the left-hand side, we have the Hollywood Scotty clip from 2018. And on the right, we have the clip from 2019. Now, I'm truly not a forensic expert, but it looks like that's the same clip to me. What do you guys think? And it looks like the 2019 clip is just an inverted and slightly cropped version of the original one that Hollywood Scotty put out in 2018. On April 21st, 2019, coexpress.uk ran this article titled NASA Asteroid Warning, Agency in Rush to Launch Asteroid Detecting Space Camera. The article reads, NASA is racing to launch its NeoCam infrared space telescope in a bid to spot apocalypse asteroids before they barrel into the Earth. So NASA has done an amazing job so far detecting these near-Earth objects. And the plan is to further refine this technology to locate smaller objects, which is a pursuit that I fully endorse. The next part of the article talks about funding issues that NeoCam faced. At the end of 2018, the funding for NeoCam was in a sort of probationary status. It was officially set to be defunded, but had been given a special grant. And again, I spoke about a lot of this at the end of my NeoWise video, so check that out for some information on the history of this project. Check out this screenshot from WikiLeaks that reads, quote, "Report that UR destroyed secret US base on Moon," end quote. So you can see why everybody is excited about this leaked cable, because it purports that Russia destroyed a secret United States moon base in the year 1979. I gotta admit, I'm pretty friggin' interested myself, so let's dig into this a little bit and see what we come up with. Today I want to talk a little bit about the recent claims made by an Oxford doctor that state he believes aliens are interbreeding with humans to create a new hybrid species that will save our planet.
Well, the main thing I want to say is perhaps human civilization is coming to an end. I said perhaps. There's nothing certain, really, in this area. Aliens produce hybrids not only between themselves and humans, but also between these alien-human hybrids and human. These second-generation hybrids look quite similar to humans, and it is quite difficult to distinguish them from ordinary humans. Some of the second-generation hybrids behave quite nastily, so they are likely to be fitting for some nasty purpose. Abductees have their ovum or sperm routinely extracted, and they are also often involved in sexually oriented actions with aliens or even with other human abductees on board.
Initially, it seemed that Dr. Young was just an innocent crackpot. All of these recent news reports appear to be based on the 2012 lecture that the doctor gave. However, most of the comments that were attributed to Dr. Young were actually made by David Jacobs, or at least Dr. Young repeating David Jacobs' theories. This makes me wonder, why are these newspapers running articles based on 7-year-old information? Is this some sort of an organized smear campaign targeting the doctor? And if so, why? Today I just want to talk with you guys a little bit about an article that I found over on space.com. The article is titled, "Navy Plans to Document UFO Sightings, but Keep Them Confidential." The first part of the article reads, "Extraterrestrials take note. The U.S. Navy plans to set up an official reporting and investigative system that will monitor reports from its pilots about unidentified flying objects." But while this X-Files worthy operation sounds newsy, don't expect to hear details about it anytime soon. The Navy doesn't intend to make the data public, citing the privileged and classified information that these reports usually include. The article continues with, "Military aviation safety organizations always retain reporting of hazards to aviation as privileged information in order to preserve the free and honest prioritization and discussion of safety among aircrew. In fact, beyond the announcement that the Navy is setting up this UFO reporting procedure, no release of information to the general public is expected." A good look at this UFO. And man, this thing sure does have a strange movement pattern. And hey, that's weird. Did you see that? You see how the UFO moved behind the tree branch? If you were the one filming, wouldn't your natural reaction be to take a step to the side so that you could see the UFO and film it? But here the person filming just sits there and zooms up on the tree branch. I'm starting to become a little skeptical of this clip. Now here when the UFO moves back out, you get a real good look at it again. Okay, hold it right there. I want to loop this last little bit, and I want to point something out to you. Look at the movement of the UFO versus the movement of this tree branch here. That looks suspiciously like an effect created by After Effects called motion tracking. On March 23, 2018, it was reported that the European Space Agency was testing a new air-breathing ion thruster. The European Space Agency wasn't the only one that announced a new thruster recently. Blue Origin announced their BE-7 liquid hydrogen liquid oxygen engine that boasts a whopping 10,000 pounds of thrust.
We're going to hot fire it for the first time this summer, which is the only reason we can do that is because we've been working on it for 3 years. Most of it is printed.
Let's talk more about Blue Moon for a little bit. Blue Moon is Blue Origin's manned lunar lander project. One of my longtime poker buddies, Jeff Bezos, recently unveiled a life-size mock-up of the project. Let's take a look.
Let me show you something. This is Blue Moon.
One of Jeff and I's other poker buddies, Elon Musk over at SpaceX, also congratulated Blue Origin by posting this tweet. You'll notice Elon spent a whole great deal of time scrubbing out the name Blue Moon and changing it to this. Ha ha ha, good one, Elon.
Skynet defense system
We're in.
now activated.
Skynet fully operational.
Starlink is scheduled to become operational sometime in the mid-2020s. And I suppose if Starlink takes over the world, at least Elon will be able to pay me back the $100 he owes me from last week's poker game. Today I just want to talk with you all about the tragic passing of one of ufology's top names. On May 13th, 2019, Stan Friedman passed away. In honor of Stan's lifetime of work in the field of ufology, I'd like to take this chance to review the life of this great man.
My own conclusions after 53 years of study and investigation are that some so-called UFOs are intelligently controlled extraterrestrial spacecraft. And then I stumbled across Project Blue Book Special Report number 14 in about 1960 at the University of California, Berkeley Library. And I was astonished because it hadn't been mentioned in any of the 15 books that I had read. And it not only provided me with tons of data, and I'm a data hound, I'll admit it, information on 3,200 sightings, 240 charts, tables, graphs, maps, data heaven. But it also had the press release that the Air Force issued, and that shocked me because it proved, once you looked at the data as I had been, that the Air Force was lying about the results of their study. Now, I was working on classified programs. I understand national security and how it works and so forth. But they were outright lying. That got my dander up.
Today I just want to talk with you all a little bit about my favorite continent, Antarctica. The first Russian Antarctic expedition was sent down to Antarctica in January of 1820. They had 2 ships, and their mission was to map and catalog the continent over a 2-year expedition, which they succeeded in. After a 4-month hike in the dry, frigid snow, they would ultimately turn around, getting as close as 97.5 miles from the actual South Pole, the closest anyone has ever been. Upon returning from the expedition, Shackleton was quick to make his discoveries and his achievement known to everybody. After hearing about his former colleague Shackleton's near success, Robert Scott had renewed interest in forming his own expedition and getting to the pole. So in June of 1910, he set out. These things were actually caught on film. Let's take a look at them here and see what they look like. Here they come. Wow, check that out. Those things are crazy looking. But I gotta tell you, the second I saw this, I had a gut feeling I knew what it was. On April 27th, a diamond energy type of UFO was filmed over the city in the daytime. Now, this is an extremely strange sighting in my opinion. My first thought was that because of the way that this thing appeared to be getting pushed around by the wind, it resembled a group of metallic balloons that were reflecting light. The person filming this footage did a great job of getting into place and chasing this thing down to try to figure out what it was. And it's clear from the footage that the person filming is a passenger in the car, so they're being safe. Don't worry.
What is this thing in the sky?
This long UFO appears to be drifting in the wind as if anchored. And it's highly reflective to the point that I don't think it is reflective. I think it's generating its own light source. And it seems like one of the witnesses agrees with me.
It's very hard to judge in my video.
Our next sighting takes us to Mexico, where a UFO was spotted flying past the Popocatépetl volcano, just outside of Mexico City. Check out this cigar-shaped UFO filmed flying past in a horizontal flight path. Now this thing comes whizzing by and flies behind the volcano at a high rate of speed. Popocatépetl volcano is no stranger to UFOs. In fact, there have been several sightings in the last few years. So I'm not surprised to see more activity in the area. I was speaking the other day with an individual about aliens and UFOs. This person asked me,
well, do you believe in aliens?
To which I answered, yes.
You're crazy.
Why am I telling you this? Because I do believe that alien life exists.
An alien race, Will.
Read totally alien.
Aliens.
Aliens.
Alien. Aliens?
Alien life force.
Aliens?
Goddamn aliens!
Tell her, Brian.
He's an alien.
What? Aliens?
And I believe that alien disclosure has already occurred and is ongoing. So I would like to lay out my case for alien disclosure. So I woke up on Sunday morning and I saw this on my camera, and I'm trying to figure out what the heck, end quote. Check out this clip that her security cameras caught. Well, of course you can see why this clip has people speculating, and you can understand why people might even think it's an alien. It sure looks alien. Some people have suggested that it might be a real-life version of Dobby the Elf from the Harry Potter series.
Dobby the house elf.
Now, I have to admit that it does somewhat resemble the likable elf, but my gut is telling me that this is something a little more earthly.
Dobby is free.
When I first saw this clip, my first thought was, that's some kid with his shorts on his head doing a silly little chicken walk, probably because it's hot outside. And it turns out that the poster of the video does indeed have a small boy. However, she maintains that it was not him.
Could it be your son Bobby just goofing around?
No, I wouldn't let him out at dark by himself.
What's Bobby like? Is he a goofy kid? Does he like dancing around?
He likes to play around and joke around, and he loves to dance.
Does he like to dance with his underwear on his head?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Sure, lady. At the end of the day, I think I'm going to stick with my initial reaction that this was just a small boy with his shorts on his head doing a crazy chicken dance. Heck, that could have been me at that age. That could be me at this age. I know stripping down and doing a little chicken dance outside can really cool you off when it's hot. So let's move on to our first sighting, which takes place on June 14th, 2019, over Lake Superior in Michigan. This clip has me extremely excited. It shows a pair of orb UFOs flying over the lake. What do you all think? This thing is just damned peculiar, and I really don't know what to make of it. So I think I'm just gonna file this one away under unknown and move on for now. Our next sighting took place over Crum, West Virginia on June 14th. A witness reported to MUFON this strange flying disc caught on a film. Check out this clip. Okay, hold it right there. That was way too fast. Let's back this thing up and slow it down so we can take a better look at it. I had to slow this video down to 1/10 speed to get a good shot of it. Here you can see the UFO entering the bottom left of the screen, and it appears to fly upwards and towards the witness.
Simply just was out with the dog practicing flying this and didn't see anything until I got home.
He was test flying his new mini quadcopter with its GoPro camera that day.
Off she goes.
And what it saw above the Robert Frost homestead in Derry has left him mystified.
It crossed this entire sky in less than a second, in a little over half a second.
Something zipped from left to right, shot as the copter was still warming up on the ground, barely visible until he slowed the video down.
And when I went back and looked at it, frame by frame, I just couldn't explain what that was.
For our next sighting, On June 10th, witnesses filmed this strange sight in the sky. Now, to me, this looks less like a UFO and more like some sort of atmospheric phenomenon or some kind of unidentified technology. July 2nd marks World UFO Day 2019. And let me be the first to wish you a happy UFO Day. All around the world, people in different countries and of different races and religions will celebrate the UFO phenomenon. But why on July 2nd? It's because most people believe that's the day that a UFO crashed outside of Roswell, New Mexico in 1947, kicking off a global interest in UFO phenomenon that lasts to this day. And so, in honor of UFO Day 2019, I would just like to talk with you all today about the Roswell UFO incident of 1947. I really like this footage. What a bright and clear capture of a UFO during the day. And as it turns out, this UFO was actually witnessed by multiple people and recorded. Check out this other view of that thing. What could it be? Do you see the way that UFO seems to be emitting or reflecting light? It's extremely bizarre. Now, some people have speculated that this could be a balloon from the Google project called Loon. Project Loon is a Google project designed to bring high-speed internet to rural parts of the country. If this is a Google Loon balloon, we should be able to confirm it since these balloons are equipped with air transponders. Let's head on over to Flight Radar 24 to check it out. Here we are looking at the historical data for the date and time of the sighting. Look at this oddly moving object with the identifier HBAL0290. The slow and seemingly erratic movement pattern of this object does make it look like it is a balloon. A simple Google search of HBAL0290 shows it as being registered to a Google Loon balloon with a photo. Check out this footage.
Now the story begins like this. Last week I was on this long drive for this beautiful place called as Katoomba in Blue Mountains in Sydney. And I was simply recording with my mobile this amazing nature around me, not realizing what I was capturing on my mobile.
That's amazing. This UFO is extremely far away and almost unnoticeable at first. However, when we zoom up on it, you get a real good look at this thing. At first I thought this UFO resembled a Project Loon balloon like the previous clip. However, that system is not being tested overseas to the best of my knowledge, so I don't think it's one of those. Although, maybe there is a similar project being tested over there. Either way, this is still some great footage, and I wanted to share it with you all and see what you think about it. So let me know in the comments section below. I just can't make my mind up about this sighting, so I'm going to go ahead and file this one away under Unknown. And we'll move on to our next sighting, which took place over West Palm Beach on June 24th. Now this is a really short clip, but check this out. You have two orb UFOs at first, and then one of them blinks out and disappears. Today I just want to talk to you all about some recent interesting science and technology news articles that I found. To start, I'd like to talk about this Insider.com article that reported that a former NASA intern could earn millions of dollars after auctioning off the original videos of the moon landing. Because these recordings are a part of a vital piece of human history. On July 5th, MSN reported that NASA nixes hunt for deadly asteroids. In the article, MSN reports that, quote, NASA says it can't afford to build a space telescope considered the fastest way to identify asteroids that may impact the Earth with terrible consequences. Today I just want to talk to you all about some recent UFO sightings from around the world. And we've got a lot to cover, so I'm not going to waste any time. Let's just jump right into our first sighting, which took place over the skies of Japan. Watch the top part of the screen here. I tried to motion track this object to the best of my abilities, which obviously need a little practice. But this is a really strange sighting of what I can only describe as a flock of UFOs. With that being said, let's go ahead and move on to our next sighting, which took place over Akron, Colorado, just outside of Denver. Listen to this report.
I'm calling from the Federal Aviation Administration, Denver Air Traffic Control Center. We had a UFO report, a shiny, small, round object the size of a flight deck of an airliner by a Delta Flight 986. The date is June 30th. The time of the report was 1425 or 1425 Zulu time. With mountain time, that would be 8:25 in the morning on 6:30, or where you're at, Washington State, 7:25 in the morning, I guess. It was at flight level 340, 34,000 feet. Pilot said it was either 1,000 feet above or 1,000 feet below. And the area was a Navade Alpha Kilo Oscar, Akron, Colorado, 313 radial, 016 mile 6. So northwest of Akron, Colorado, by 16 miles or so. Once again, it was Delta Airlines, Flight 986 on 6/30, 2019. So I'll be out for the next couple weeks here with Denver Air Traffic Control Center. Just reporting this here.
Today I want to talk to you all about some recent science and technology news updates. And we have a lot to cover, so we're going to jump right in. First is an article dated July 17th, 2019, titled, "Quantum Scientists Have Built the First Silicon 2-Qubit Gate Between Atom Qubits." Wow! Now, to me, this is a rather lackluster title for an announcement of such an amazing breakthrough in computing technology. In closing, the team states that they hope to build a new 10-qubit gateway sometime in the next 3 to 4 years. So hang on to your hats, everybody. Things are about to start moving at warp speed. Our next piece also has to do with quantum science. Check out this article titled, "Scientists Teleported Quantum Data into the Flawed Heart of a Diamond," with the title of, "Man Keeps Rock for Years Thinking It's Gold. Turns out it's super rare meteorite. Hawaii declares state of emergency amid protests over huge telescope." Today I just want to talk to you all about cattle mutilations.
My cattle!
Your cattle?
Yes, my cattle!
Cattle mutilations are up.
I'll stand here and watch my cattle get mutilated one by one.
Yes, that's right, cattle mutilations.
Hey everybody, today's video is going to be a little bit different than our normal content, but we'll get back to our regular stuff right after this. I've been a big fan of Tyler at Secure Team 10 for several years now, but the last few months I've been really disappointed. And with the release of his latest video, I knew I just had to come out and say something about it.
Then I started getting threats to shut my channel down, to stop what I was doing, to basically cease and desist my truth seeking, and to stop digging around, as they called it.
Tyler, who was threatening you? Law enforcement? People on Reddit? A drive-through worker at McDonald's?
Sighting takes place over Dublin, Ireland, so let's head on over and take a look. We have the original footage in the center along with zoom versions on the side, so we can try to get a good look at it here. Look at this thing. But I want to pause it right here. Take a look at that. It looks like there's 3 of these things now, but are we actually seeing a third UFO? Or is it some kind of optical effect due to the fact that the recording is being done from inside a vehicle through a moonroof? Oh boy, it really is hard to get a good look at these things. I'm going to push up more on that cropped version and let's see if that sheds any detail on them. So now we can really get a good look at those tails that these things have. And I really gotta say, the more I look at these, the more I'm convinced that my gut feeling was correct. These are most likely some sort of rocket test. Here, the witness recorded strange lights moving in formation in the evening sky. Now these lights are moving parallel to the road, which tells me that they're low-flying objects, whatever they are. Let's take a look at that still next to a side-by-side still of the UFO. Here, a few things stand out. Do you see this object on the left? I'm assuming that's some kind of pole. In the UFO still, this object appears more upright than in the normal shot. Greetings to you all from the beautiful Pacific Northwest. We just want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to watch our videos. Without you, our viewers, we wouldn't be here. So thank you for your continued support. Today we're going to be talking about some recent announcements in science and technology. Way back in episode 1, we spoke about Oumuamua, our first known interstellar object. Wow, it seems like so long ago. If you want to see how much our channel has grown since we started, check out that old video. Today, just let me start right off by asking you all a question. Have you ever taken a look at our planet Earth from space? Have you ever spent a little bit of time thinking about how large the planet is? Have you ever asked yourself, how big is our planet in relation to our solar system, our galaxy, or even the observable universe? When you look at the Earth from space, do you notice the lack of national boundaries and lines? Do you notice the thin atmosphere that protects us from the harsh environment of space? Do you sometimes feel overwhelmed with a sense of the Earth's fragile existence floating in space? If you've answered yes to one or more of these questions, you may have experienced some form of the overview effect. First, let's go ahead and recap what we already know about the case. Back in October of 2017, Tom DeLonge of Blink-182 formally announced the creation of To the Stars Academy. A YouTube channel by the name of UFO Seekers did an amazing investigative piece into To the Stars Academy, which I'll link to in the description below. After watching that video, I'm personally convinced that To the Stars Academy is just a way for Tom DeLonge to get someone else to pay for his debt. Thank you all for joining me here today, where we're going to be taking a look at some recent UFO sightings from the Pacific Northwest. I have collected a series of sightings that I believe are all of the same UFO. I just want to take a look at these things and show them to you all, and you can tell me what you think about them. I recently put out a video where I commented on Tyler Glockner's latest activities, and I mentioned how disappointed I've been with Secure Team 10 lately. One of Tyler's loyal followers accused me of trying to make a name for myself by attacking Secure Team 10. When I tried to explain to this person that I earned a name for myself by having a channel for almost 2 years and putting out close to 50 videos, Tyler himself decided to come down off of his high horse and comment on what I was saying. Tyler wrote, "Come and talk to me about achievements when you've put out 1,000 videos like I have and changed the UFO research game forever. Until then, keep your mouth shut about things that you have no clue what you're talking about." When I saw this first clip, I just knew that I had to show it to you guys. Wait till you see this. Look at what the pilot captured out the window of his airplane. What is that thing? Here it comes moving in closer, and it's traveling in a straight horizontal line. Wait a second. No way. Come on, that's gotta be fake. Let's get a better look at that. Wow, that was surprisingly easy to motion track. That's a little suspicious. Most of the time when you see UFOs like this, they're jutting and bobbing and weaving real quickly in strange directions, but this thing is just moving in a straight line. And as we all know, most typically when you see UFOs, they're emitting some form of light, and you don't get such clear definition like this. That's another red flag. And there's one more thing that stood out about the very beginning of the video when the UFO first enters the frame. The pilot is able to keep the UFO perfectly centered in the middle of the frame while zooming in. Now this looks suspiciously to me like an After Effects trick that hoaxers sometimes use in order to add a fake zoom effect to their hoax videos.
It is sitting diagonal, and it is just freaking hovering. And y'all, it's big. It's big. Oh my God.
It sure does look peculiar, and it's moving in such a strange way. Again, I'm not sure what to make of it. I don't think I've ever seen a UFO quite like this. Truly don't think it's an aircraft because the lights would be blinking, and you'd probably hear it. It's a damn strange find, I'll tell you what. I'm going to keep this one in the UFO files, and if I see anything even closely resembling this, I'll make sure to do a follow-up video and show it to you guys.
Well, we were told on September 6th that we would be evacuated along with the surrounding area. We weren't told why that was the case, but we were told to just be by the area.
When I asked him who told him to evacuate, he told me...
That we don't know.
And as for a timetable for reopening the post office...
No, that's still up in the air. We will remain suspended until we're allowed to return.
Okay, I'm not going to make any claims, and this is the neat part. Okay, check out this list. Now these are solar observatories and cams in Australia, Chile, Spain, 2 in Hawaii, and 1 in Pennsylvania. All of these went down at the exact same time as the Solar Observatory in New Mexico. And are they still down? Well, let's take a look. I updated these just about 10 minutes ago. Oh, here's the one in Hawaii. Oh, that cam's been shut down, okay? This one's been shut down. This one, a cam, is offline, maybe due to network or hardware failure. So this solar cam is down. This one is also down. Can't find it. And here's the 6th one down, unauthorized, can't find the webcam. So all 6 of these went down at the exact same time and are still down in Australia, Chile, Spain, 2 in Hawaii, and Pennsylvania. And this is SOHO. This is on NASA's own website. And interestingly enough, they will tell you that, let's see, we're updating the code infrastructure provided to the SOHO, and we expect the work to take several weeks.
That's right, our galaxy is full of stars and planets that did not come from the Milky Way. So where did they come from? Scientists speculate that these stars were once a part of neighboring galaxies that were ejected and drifted towards the Milky Way. Eventually, this alien cluster of stars got close enough to the Milky Way that the gravity pulled it in, and the two collided in a sort of strange cosmic dance. And then, as the gravity of the two bodies pulled these two systems together, they slowly blended to form the Milky Way as we know it. Only now, we know that thousands of these stars that we originally thought were formed in the Milky Way were actually formed in an entirely different galaxy. As long as we can manage to not wipe ourselves out, human beings will be capable of interstellar travel at some point. I have no doubt of this. And I always thought that when we do discover life elsewhere, it may very well look similar to life on Earth.
The assault on the Terran home system commences in 48 hours. Victory, Milik. It smells sweet.
But now I truly have no idea what to expect when we have thousands of stars in our own galaxy that are alien. And we will be getting more at some point. increasing the odds of finding some kind of completely different life form.
Huh. That's just lazy writing.
But we will find it in a cosmic sense right here in our own backyard, the Milky Way. Only time will tell what we're going to discover when we start exploring our nearest neighboring solar systems. But I'll tell you guys this, I for one am chomping at the bit to find out. But until we do, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, where it is my pleasure to introduce to you a little lady named Lucy. Come on now, you know better. Not that Lucy. NASA's Lucy mission. I'm gonna try to get a good zoom on it. What do you guys think that is? A helicopter with a floodlight? Or a pilot with a fog light signaling the people shooting off fireworks, maybe? The video is being shot from inside a vehicle, so perhaps it's a reflection of a nearby lighthouse on the vehicle windshield. It does resemble a lighthouse beacon. I thought maybe it could be something reflecting the light of the fireworks, but I quickly changed my mind because this thing appears illuminated when the rest of the sky is dark. Whatever this thing is, it does appear man-made to me. I just can't identify it. Have any of you seen anything like this before and can tell me what it is? If so, let me know in the comments below. Back in episode 41, I was able to identify a UFO that was photographed during the day over Dayton, Ohio. Check that out, it looks awfully similar to the Kingsburg UFO. However, in the case of the Dayton UFO, I was able to confirm using Flight Radar 24 that this was a Google balloon by using its transponder signal. I checked on Flight Radar 24 for the day of the sighting over Kingsburg. They showed light commercial air traffic and no balloons. That's right, no Google balloons. Now I thought for sure Flight Radar 24 was going to show a Google balloon, but that simply is not the case. And so, no matter how much this UFO may resemble a balloon, until I see some evidence to suggest that it is, I think we can safely rule that out. I remember reading something back in 2018 that got me researching the cybernetic jellyfish story, and that led me to a Stanford doctoral candidate named Nicole Shu. I found this lecture that she gave, so let's hear some highlights of what she had to say on the subject.
I'd like to begin by asking you all a question. How much do you know about the ocean? Now, whether you're thinking not much or I'm an expert because I'm an oceanographer, the reality is that we've only explored about 5% of the ocean. But what we do know is that the ocean covers almost 3/4 of the Earth's surface and is responsible for processes such as thermal regulation and producing oxygen. Now, there are a few different methods of ocean monitoring. One is using remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, which are basically like small cars that are attached to boats via these long cables. Another is autonomous underwater vehicles, AUVs, like this glider, for example. And these are great tools for making ocean measurements because they can reach areas of the ocean that boats and divers can't, but there are a few challenges. So let's take a closer look. Within this 3D printed acrylic housing, we have a series of microelectronics. Right now, it's just the battery and the chip that controls the electrode, but in the future, we can incorporate things such as temperature sensors. The electrode is an LED that flashes every time a signal gets sent through the electrode, and the device embeds into the center of the jellyfish via this toothpick, which actually holds onto the tissue much better than other engineered materials because of the microscopic barbs in the wood. So, this is an example of what my cyborg jellyfish looks like, with the swim controller operating at a frequency of 0.5 hertz, meaning that there's one signal every 2 seconds. You can see here, with this one electrode embedded at the side of the jellyfish, every time the LED flashes red, that's when a signal is occurring at that muscle location, and you can see this clear muscle wave propagating from that point. From experiments like this, but using 2 electrodes, I can characterize how different frequencies of the swim controller control the swimming speed.
Lights and consistent rate of travel that indicate to me that this is most likely a satellite. Whoa, here's another one traveling in the same direction. I think I might know what these are. Back in episode 33, we spoke about SpaceX's Starlink program. I thought at first it could be a bird, but it's way too round for that. It could be a disc UFO. Or it could be a Mylar party balloon. Let's try to get a better look at this thing. I think it's safe to rule out a bird here because you see no movement of the wings flapping. It certainly looks like it's wobbling just like a balloon in the wind would. And again, I get the feeling like we are looking at a balloon of some sorts that was just caught in the wind. So now, I don't know what to think. I was almost certain that this was a sighting of multiple loon balloons being launched at dusk or nighttime. However, after I realized that the loon balloons have no lights, I have to discount that theory, because Google loon balloons have absolutely no reason to illuminate in the night. Well, Jimmy, at this point, I'm right back to square one. I have no idea what it is that your neighbor filmed back in 2015. I have to tell you guys, at this point, I was done with this video and I was ready to upload it. But then, I was laying in bed and I was researching another sighting when I stumbled across something. You guys are not going to believe what I just found. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the LUU parachute flare. This particular version of the LUU is launched from an aircraft. Check out this video of an LUU being deployed in the air. I'll put Jimmy's sighting over it, and I want to point out a few things here. Check out the smoke. I remember when I saw Jimmy's sighting first, I thought I saw some smoke at the beginning, but then I convinced myself it was fog or lens flare, perhaps. But now I'm going with my initial gut reaction that that was smoke. Today I want to talk to you guys about some declassified files that I've discovered on the FBI Online Vault. These files have actually been around for quite some time, at least as far back as 2010, but I only recently discovered them, so I figured I should go through them and show you some of the stuff that I found and tell you what I think about it. I went and downloaded all of these documents, and I've only just started to go through them. I mean, I've only scratched the surface of these files, but already I've discovered some very interesting things. So I'm going to talk about a couple of them today. However, as I get a chance to go through more of this information, I'm certain that I'm going to find more interesting topics, so keep your eyes peeled for a follow-up video sometime in the future. When I was first scanning through these documents, the very first thing that stood out to me was this SM-X, Security Matter-X. Aha! Security Matter X. This heading appeared on almost all of the documents. What does that make you all think of? Yeah, me too. Something triggered the doorbell camera and caused it to start recording. Watch down here by the mailbox and something's gonna fly upwards. What the heck is that? And then take a look at this section of sky here after the UFO disappears. You see some weird angular movement with two 90-degree turns that seems to follow the UFO. Seriously? What the hell is that? Files. And we will go ahead and move along to the next sighting, which took place over Scotland Neck, North Carolina on February 20th, 2020. To 2020. Check out this crazy footage.
Look at that.
What is it?
Look at that. What is it? I don't know. It's a UFO. There ain't no doubt about it. We got it on camera.
Well, the witnesses had this to say.
The whole thing's on fire.
I know.
Yeah, you guys are right. It does look like that thing, whatever it is on fire. I can definitely see why this stood out and drew their attention. London, Ontario, Canada. On February 3rd, 2020, a witness filmed this shaky footage of a large, dark UFO that was moving slowly across the sky. It's pretty hard to get a good look at this thing because the camera's moving so much and it's bouncing in and out of frame, but I did try to get a few good zooms on it. And I literally had to go through this footage frame by frame. And I'm glad I did because I saw something there that I might have missed otherwise. take a look at this still frame right here. This backwards shaped wing design automatically made me think of the B-2 Spirit or the Stealth Bomber. This is a giant aircraft, and when it's in the air, it feels like something large and heavy is floating above you. Now, I can't say for sure that this sighting was one of these B-2 stealth bombers. I mean, it is possible they are still in operation and will be for a number of years yet, but that explanation does sync with all of the evidence of a large, dark object that was moving slowly and has this sort of backward wing design. So if I had to guess, I'd say that's what it was. But I truly only have one frame of evidence to support that theory, so I can't stand behind it too much. Wow, look at that thing. Nice. This is another example of a meteorite coming down fast, and look at the sharp angle of entry. Just like in the Florida meteorite, this thing is coming almost straight down. And also like the Florida meteorite, no trace of the meteorite was found. How can we be so sure it was a meteorite then? This makes me wonder if there was any other recent sightings that were also filmed that we could take a look at. Wow, look at this thing come zipping down. That had to be intensely bright to flash like that in broad daylight. In March 2020, a fireball was reported over Columbus, Ohio by multiple witnesses. These things are coming down all over the place, and apparently they're coming down right in my own backyard, because on March 6th, 2 different fireballs were reported over Oregon and Southwest Washington. The first was caught on this Ring doorbell camera, and the second was filmed on this Nest footage. Damn, there's a lot more of these things than I first thought. One of these events put on quite the light show when several meteorites burned up on entry, illuminating the night sky. One of the other meteorites apparently broke into several large pieces and started several small fires. That's crazy. Check that out. That must have been terrifying for those witnesses to see this giant fireball come crashing down and explode, leaving this fiery aftermath. These meteorite impact events can be extremely destructive. Look at the damage this thing caused. A large chunk of the meteorite survived the impact, which then caught fire. The fire was then extinguished, leaving this soupy mess. Our first UFO was spotted over Shepherdsville, Kentucky on March 11th, 2020. A witness captured this footage. Let's take a look.
Hey, y'all hurry, get out here, look at this, hurry, hurry, come here.
I'm here, man. No reason to yell. Check out this dark UFO that's got this guy extremely excited.
What the hell is that? I got it on video, whatever it is.
I don't know, man, but my initial impression is that this is some sort of large aircraft of some kind. I just don't see any of the blinking lights that you normally see with aircraft.
I just filmed a bright silver sphere shooting across the sky in between the trees just before this, about maybe 40 minutes ago.
Dude, you filmed 2 UFOs in one day? Oh, I like this guy. I really like him. Let's take a look at the other one. 45 minutes prior, the same witness captured this footage.
Where'd it go? There it is. Right here. See it?
It's moving awfully fast, whatever it is.
It's a funny looking shape thing, whatever it is. There ain't no airplane that I've ever seen.
Nice. An orb UFO. Check that baby out. What is that? It's awful low to the ground to be an aircraft. But it is moving like one. Sort of. strange cylinder-shaped UFO was filmed bouncing around the sky. Yeah, that's odd. A woman was out taking a walk with her son and she noticed this crazy UFO up above her and decided to film it. What the heck is that? Is it some sort of passive drone just taking readings?
An Imperial probe droid.
Is it some sort of top secret military technology?
Must be a secret government project.
Is it a UFO selecting victims to abduct and probe?
My Howard is a good man. He's a provider. And these aliens are gonna probe him? Come down to the Lakeview, and I'll stick a probe up your alien ass, you.
I want to talk to you guys about some recent discoveries in space exploration, as well as a possible breakthrough in our understanding of the evolution of humanity. First, let's talk about this announcement that scientists have discovered 139 minor planets at the edge of our solar system. It seems unlikely to me that we're going to find any form of life as we know it because these TNOs are outside of the habitable zone and can't support life as we know it. But that doesn't mean there's nothing there for us. Perhaps these TNOs are loaded with raw resources. I've talked about asteroid mining before as a future industry, but can you imagine minor planet mining? Which is this announcement that astronomers have discovered an exoplanet where it rains liquid iron. Holy crap. Let's check that out. This creates two distinct regions on the planet where one side is forever hot and the other side is forever cool.
You say that just once you'd like your hamburger hot and your lettuce and tomato cool and crisp all at the same time? Yeah!
Why would they redact it on all these maps? If there's nothing there, why not just show it? Anyhow, in July 2019, ladbible.com published this article titled Google Maps, Mystery of Blacked Out Russian Island Revealed. Ah, cool, let's take a look. It turns out that in July 2019, Google decided to uncensor this portion of the map for some reason, revealing this image. It really only shows the tip of the island and a portion of the ocean surrounding it. Well, that seems a little suspicious to me. And it seems like the writer of this article agrees with me, because the last line in the article reads, quote, "It all seems a little fishy to me," end quote. Here in September of 2019, Russia Beyond also posted an article about censored images on maps, including a brief bit on Jeanette Island. They even went so far as to include a link to the GPS coordinates of the island, almost as if they were challenging people to go and take a look. Challenge accepted. When you look at the island from Google Earth, it still has this black censoring around the island. But when you start to zoom down on this thing and you get closer, it reveals this hidden image at about 20 meters or so. I wonder if that means that this was a mistake and they just forgot to censor or remove this level of the map. Interesting. Anyhow, they don't show you much, just the tip of the island. But I think I know what's underneath there. Check this out. Here's satellite images of Jeanette Island from 2018. In today's episode, I have some explosive video of an orb UFO that was filmed by a pilot with over 17 years experience. That's right, on March 20th, 2020, this amazing footage was filmed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, shooting star. Shooting star, but then it stopped, huh? Yeah, let me zoom in, man. It's like an orb, man, look at that. It's pulsating. Oh, this is awesome. And he's not on TCAS, man.
There's nothing on the TCAS?
Well, I can tell Rita now. That's it. That is, dude. That is hot. Platillos, platillos. He's a pulsating orb. Look at that, dude. Look at that.
Check this footage out of a triangle-shaped UFO being escorted by two other aircraft. Whoa, It's kind of crazy. You know, at first I thought that this looked like a standard military convoy of 3 aircraft. However, I quickly noticed something subtle. In this video, you can clearly see the marker lights of the last 2 escort vehicles. However, the lead craft has none. So if this was 3 military aircraft, why would the leader be running without marker lights? That doesn't make much sense. In fact, it looks like the following 2 aircraft are actually tailing this thing or pursuing it, maybe as observers. That's pretty strange.
This is Sector 36. We had a target come through our airspace going really fast. At level 370 earlier, an intruder, Mode-C intruder, going southbound, and then now, apparently, the Southwest 4712 sees an aircraft off his right side about his 1 o'clock and 10 miles going northbound at 370. We don't have anything on radar anymore or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, I turned my primaries on. I don't...
And we don't see any primaries or anything either.
But I will... Okay. Yeah.
Just to let you know, and our supervisors are calling all the appropriate people, so...
And does he have any idea what kind of aircraft it is?
No, we've asked him, and he doesn't. He said it's about his 1 to 2 o'clock and 10 miles off his right side now, so...
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
And from Southwest 4712, we're starting to get really hard to see it, so he's definitely moving away from us. And can the United crew tell what kind of airplane it is?
Southwest 4712, appreciate the report. Yeah, they do have visual now ahead of you, about 20 miles. And, I'm trying to get some more information, but thanks, appreciate that.
Yeah, for United 612, it's just a white speck out there. I mean, we can see it, but there's no identification on it, just that it's there.
United 612, can you estimate any altitude?
Yeah, it looks like he's probably about 4,000 or 5,000 feet above us.
Roger.
So the pilot of Southwest 4712 says that the UFO is pulling ahead of them, and this tells us that that object is moving faster than the passenger planes, which travel at about 450 miles per hour. And then United 612 reports that the object just looks like a white speck and that they can see the UFO, but that it has no identifiers and that they can only tell that something is there. Our first piece of footage was sent in by a viewer of the channel by the name of Shells, who writes,
What the heck is that?
Let's get a good zoom on this UFO and take a better look at it. I was able to get a pretty good track on this thing, and so we can see some pretty good definition. Now, I think all the movement of the UFO is actually due to the camera bouncing around, but we'll have to confirm that with Shells in the comments below. A couple of young ladies were driving down the street when they witnessed a series of large glowing orbs flying in formation, and they shot this video.
And they're big, like the closer we get, they're big.
You know, every time I see 3 aircraft flying in formation like this, I immediately tend to think of a military convoy. I gotta tell you guys, when I very first saw this thing, I immediately thought it was a small personal drone. And I'm laughing because my brother has one of these things, and when he flies it, he thinks he's Evel Knievel, and he just goes full throttle. And he flies this thing 100% balls out. And that's what this UFO sighting reminded me of, although his drone doesn't light up in the night, so I'm not sure how this thing has a light source on it, but maybe some of them do. Later, while screening the photographs that the crew made during the mission, there was a strange object found in one of the frames. It would infamously become known as the Black Knight Satellite. Now, for those of you who already know what the Black Knight Satellite is, bear with me just a moment longer. And for those of you who don't, whatever was photographed in this mission, NASA has classified as space debris. And a space journalist by the name of James Oberg says that it's a thermal blanket that was confirmed as lost during the mission. I guess that wraps it up then. Case closed. Or not. Of course, there's a whole host of conspiracy theories around what this Black Knight satellite is. People have guessed that it's everything from a top-secret military satellite to an extremely ancient alien satellite that's monitoring human progress, and pretty much everything in between. And the only reason that I bring all of this up is because I found 2 recent sightings of UFOs that look awfully similar to this photograph. Check these photos out. One was taken over Florida and the other Texas. You know, at first I didn't think much of these 2 sightings until I was sitting there one night looking at the 2 still frames, and I thought to myself, where have I seen that shape before? And I really thought about it, and the Black Knight satellite image occurred to me. So I went out and I got a picture of the Black Knight and lined them up, and there you go. They look similar enough to me that I felt it was worth mentioning to you guys just to see what you think about it. Anyhow, first, let's talk about the Starlink project over at SpaceX. Ever since Starlink began deployment in May of 2019, these satellites have been a pain in the butt for astronomers and UFO watchers alike. These satellites often get in the way of astronomers who are trying to use time-lapse photography in order to capture photos. And of course, people mistake these things for UFOs all the time. And so, now astronomers and UFO hunters can celebrate together, because the folks over at SpaceX are working on giving the future Starlink satellites a sun shield to make them less visible from the Earth. Well, it's about dang time. It turns out that there are a number of advantages. For example, telescopes that are based on the Earth have to look through the atmosphere. This is why when you photograph the moon or video the moon, you'll oftentimes see a rippling effect around it. It's a lensing effect due to the light bending slightly as it passes through the atmosphere. But when you view photographs of Earth from the moon, you don't see that rippling effect because there's no atmosphere on the moon. So that's one big advantage. Another big advantage is that placing this telescope on the far side of the moon allows the moon to act as a shield blocking the telescope from all of the radio interference broadcasted from Earth. This is a very large problem for most space-based telescopes. And it won't be for the LCRT. Pretty cool, right? Let's go ahead and move along to our next subject. Space Force! Talking about Space Force! We got a Space Force! What do they do? The Witness first started filming this strange cloud. Then he noticed a UFO.
Oh shit, what's that? ¿Qué es eso? Couldn't open it. No mames, ¿qué es esa mierda? Mira. ¿Qué es?
I've got an idea of what that is, and judging by the Witness reaction, I suspect that he does too. I wonder if this user has any other videos posted. Oh, here's one titled, "Harp created this in the sky. You decide, truth or lie." Let's take a look. What the heck was that? Did Harp create an angelic shrieking manta ray over the skies of California? I decide that is a lie. Okay, we're done here. Let's move along to our next sighting, which occurred in the skies over Chicago. Check this clip out. What is that?
Government propaganda so we don't learn about aliens. A reflection of what? The lights in the city. That's not what it looks like, though. It doesn't. There's no events going on that would be like a light like that. I am trying to reason in my brain, okay? Let my brain...
Now let's look at all of these sightings side by side. 5 different sightings, 5 different UFOs, 5 different locations. And yet, they all look similar. And remember, I've seen dozens of sightings that look almost identical. So I want to ask you guys something. If these are not some sort of extraterrestrial craft, or top secret military aircraft, If they are some sort of a planet, a star, or a distant galaxy, why has there been so many sightings across the world the last 3 years just like this? I mean, if these are normal occurrences, people should be used to seeing them. So why all of a sudden are people everywhere starting to see this stuff, then record and report it? Is it because people are just looking up more? And everyone has a cell phone nowadays? Or is it because there's something different with the atmosphere or the Earth's electromagnetic field? I don't know, but either one of those possibilities is downright terrifying. Today I just want to talk to you guys about what to do if you see a UFO. No, I'd understand if you ran away or if you tried to shoot at it. But if you didn't fight or run and you want to capture some decent UFO footage, I'm going to give you 10 tips that'll help you out. Number 1. Film stationary. Stop your car, or bike, or horse, or whatever. Number 2. Go outside. Exit your vehicle or leave your house. Number 3. Use a tripod, stand, or other stable surface to steady the footage. Number 4. Use landscape mode. Avoid trying to move the camera as the UFO moves. Number 5. Do not zoom in or out. Just don't zoom. Number 6. Try to get the UFO in focus. Number 7. Get some perspective in the footage. Number 8. Encode your geotag and location settings in the footage, and verify other recording settings. Number 9. Use those free applications that are at your disposal. Number 10. Use your audio to capture UFO sounds or narrate the sighting. Number 11. If you get any good clear UFO footage, send it into Area 503.
No, I got something.
Whatever that thing is, it's got to be massive if you can see it from the Earth. What is that? It's hard to get a real good look at this thing because of the glare coming off the moon. Dang it. Sounds like Carlos is just as curious as I am. What is that dang thing? It looks like it's sort of just hovering there. Or if it is moving, it's moving very slowly.
Is that next to the moon or is it in the moon?
Gosh, I could go either way at this point. I think that thing looks like it could be on the moon or above it. It's really hard to tell.
Olha, apagou. Lights out. Something was there. Something was there.
Today, I was going to talk to you guys about some documents that I found on the CIA vaults detailing the existence of a joint Russian-Chinese UFO investigation back in 1990. Both my research and that video got sidetracked.
Stay on target.
When I stumbled across something far more interesting. An obscure reference to the Tunguska event of 1908. I first spoke about the Tunguska event back in episode 9, so if you'd like a little bit more detail about it, check out that video. Looks like this original file was just an excerpt from a journal called Soviet Life, Volume 2, 1968. Ugh, this thing's hard on the eyes. Let's see if I can find an original copy. Ah, look at that. I was able to find it on Google Books. Let's find the appropriate section. Unidentified flying objects. UFOs. No mistaking that headline. And here we get a refreshingly blunt article that reads, UFOs, first the facts, several striking and reliable UFO observations, and then conclusions. Gosh, I wish journalists still wrote this way. Anyhow, the first 4 accounts are all different descriptions of UFO sightings across Russia. Then they talk about the growing number of UFO sightings globally. And then they go into accounts by a few celebrities and military personnel who also had UFO sightings. And then here towards the end, this article starts to get pretty interesting. Check this out. No prejudice. Until recently, no scientific study of UFOs has been made in the Soviet Union. More than that, the prevailing and in my opinion mistaken view was that UFOs are common optical phenomenon in the Earth's atmosphere. And check out this next part. In 1968, the Nauka Publishing House of the USSR Academy of Sciences is scheduled to bring out a book titled Populated Outer Space, edited by Boris Konstantinov. Remember the title of that book and the name Boris Konstantinov. We'll be talking about both of them again later. But for now, it looks like at the time of this article, the book was scheduled to be put out next year, and it's going to be a physics journal along with the collection of UFO sightings and feature segments from notable Russian physicists, as well as US scientists. And there's even a small little bit in there by a guy named Joseph Hynek. Yeah, we know who you are, buddy.
I don't know what this is. What the hell?
Yeah, that's interesting. Looks like it's tumbling. What is that? It could be a balloon just rotating and tumbling through the wind. Check out this UFO. It's just moving along horizontally, minding its own business, doing God knows what. I initially thought this might be a balloon, but it's not tumbling like a balloon. Could that maybe be a quadricopter drone? A large one? Or... God, I don't know. It almost seems to be flying levelly, like an aircraft. This thing's pretty strange. Let's get a better look at it. So it doesn't look like this thing's moving very fast, whatever it is. But it certainly isn't rotating. It seems to hold a fixed position, and it's moving in a straight line. But that suggests to me that this isn't something that's organic. It is man-made. It's either a drone or an aircraft or... Whoa, that was kind of interesting. It almost looks like that's a pyramid or a triangle or... Let me see if I can get a better clip of that. Wow, check that out. Someone got a weird light on their security cameras. Check that out. What could be causing that? I thought at first that it was a spotlight maybe from a helicopter. But I don't think that could be the case because spotlights move and they bounce around, and this strange light remains perfectly still for almost 5 minutes. If that is a helicopter pilot, he's one badass dude, I'll tell you that. And besides all that, I checked out Flight Radar 24 and there were no planes or helicopters in the area. So yeah, I think we can rule out an aircraft here. Check out these two still frames. We can see more definition of the area in question. And it looks like it's a wooded area right outside the residential area. This makes me wonder if maybe somebody was camping out there in the trees and they just turned on a high-powered LED camping lantern. This could explain the light, but normally when you use lanterns like that, they cast a lot of shadows as they move around or people move around them. This light just clicks on and it stays there, motionless. It's creepy. No, really, it's creepy. But I don't think it's a camping lantern either. One other thought did occur to me. Perhaps it's a mounted spotlight of some kind, you know, like on a cop car or a work truck or something. I'm not sure why anyone would want to turn on a spotlight at 4 in the morning, you know, for a good solid 5 minutes, but hey, stranger things have happened. So I suppose it's possible. What do you all think it is? Some kind of spotlight? But what's it from? Is it a UFO shining a beam down? I mean, if you investigated this the next morning and found a mutilated cow down there or something, I'd be calling Mulder and Scully. But we don't have anything like that. It's just a weird light out in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night. So I don't think people are going to get too interested in it. Except for guys like me. And this one is a follow-up to a UFO that I reported on back in episode 36 last year. Take a look at this original footage.
It's the UFO there.
This weird, segmented UFO was hovering in place. I couldn't identify what it was at the time, but I definitely thought that it was man-made, and I think that I know what it is now. I found some similar footage of a racing drone that was carrying a strip of LED lights. Check this out. I gotta tell you guys, this sighting really bothered me for over a year. It just never left my mind, and so when I saw this drone LED footage, I thought immediately of that original sighting. And I just knew that I had to get this out there and show you guys. Judging by this new footage, I'd say that that was definitely a string of LED lights, and that they were either mounted on a large balloon with an anchor, or they were suspended from a drone. What do you guys think?
Hey guys, Tyler here with Secure Team. I'm posting this video because I need your guys' help and I need it quick. You may be wondering why I haven't been posting videos yet again lately, and that is because of a well-known internet troll that has been harassing me and my family for years now, attempting to blackmail me, attempting to do anything in their power. This is one individual to not only ruin my life, but ruin my channel, get it terminated, and has bragged publicly that he will do anything and everything he can to get my channel terminated, including filing false copyright claims to get my channel terminated, where in which if you get 3 strikes, you're out. The channel's taken down.
Check out these interesting red orb UFOs that this man filmed outside of his house. They seem to just appear out of nowhere and they're just hovering there. But what is it that they're doing there? It looks like the one on the left there is starting to wink out a little bit. Yep, there he goes, and he's gone. You know, my first thought was that this was a satellite because of its straight trajectory. But what is all this right here? Is that an ejection of some kind of material? I don't think so. It looks more like light to me. Is it a flash of light like a burst of a rocket? You know, I really don't think so, because it doesn't last very long, and most rockets fire for a few seconds at least. Or is this just some kind of flaring off of a satellite? For Portland, Oregon. Hey! That's right, good old Stumptown, the City of Roses, Bridgetown, where the webbed-footed friends meet the spotted owl. I kind of like that place. It's where I live. And that's right. It seems like the UFOs don't mind about the coronavirus. They don't mind about protests and lockdowns. They're going to show up when and where they want to. Anyhow, a man writes that he and his wife were out walking their dog, and they looked up to see a flying, shiny object above the very high, thin cloud cover. They were able to snap a couple pictures. Let's take a look at what they saw. Wow, that thing is so high up there, it's amazing that the witness even noticed it at all. Let me see if I can't zoom up on it and get a better look. You know I can. Well, that sure is interesting. What do you guys think it is? My initial reaction is that this is some sort of balloon of some kind, but with only 2 photos, it's extremely difficult to determine.
It all started back on May 28th when I got a notification from the NASA Goddard YouTube channel. They had released a video titled "Hubble Finds Water Vapor on Distant Exoplanet," and they noted in the video description that the planet was within the habitable zone of its host star. And that was about it. Well, golly. Let's not give any undue attention to the fact that we finally found a planet that's in the habitable zone of its star that has liquid water on it. But this latest study shows another Earth-like planet and star that could possibly harbor some form of life as we know it. And so it seems that the space race, or at least the race to detect life on another planet, has begun. Because now we have competing agencies all over the world trying to be the first to discover life on another planet. Anyhow, now they're saying that it's important for them to find alien life all of a sudden. But why now? What is the catalyst of this change of attitude? And what's up with Jim here? He fought a hard-earned battle to win a spot in the House of Representatives back in 2012. And he served on the committees of Armed Services and of Science, Space, and Technology. And in 2014, his top campaign contributor was a North American military contractor. In 2016, Bridenstine resigned his seat in the House, and he accepted an appointment as the administrator of NASA. And now he's on the hunt for alien life. Who the heck is this guy? I mean, seriously, what is he up to? And whose pocket is he in? Anyhow, this thing out. Whoa, what is that? It's kind of strange looking, don't you think? It looks like it's some sort of energy. But you know, with that purplish tint, it could be an infrared light that's being detected on the camera. And it looks like this thing is just bouncing around a little bit, or maybe even hovering there. It's really difficult to determine. It kind of looks like there's a beam shooting out of here, like it's scanning for something. Perhaps it's a forward-looking infrared or FLIR, and maybe it's a large military drone that's hovering. Maybe it's a smaller commercial drone that has some LEDs on it, although those generally don't look like this with a cone-like spray of light coming out of them, so I don't think that's it. I'm completely at a loss to explain this. I'm purely guessing that it's some kind of drone, and that's just because it reminds me of something man-made. It just looks like a drone or vehicle that's sending out some sort of beam or a laser of some kind. People spotted a strange white UFO floating above them in the skies. When the cameras were brought out to film and get a good zoom on this thing, it became apparent that this was some sort of balloon. And it appeared to have some sort of a structure dangling from the bottom of it. I know what you all are thinking, and it's what I thought when I first saw this. This has got to be some kind of weather balloon, right? But the Japanese Weather Service said it was definitely not one of theirs. Whose was it then? It definitely looks like a man-made balloon of some kind, and the structure on the bottom looks like it's holding some kind of apparatus. Whether it's instruments to survey and collect information, or to dispense something, it's impossible to tell. Either way, I find it quite alarming that something like this could float over an urban center and it wouldn't be noticed by anyone until a witness on the ground spotted it with the naked eye and reported it. With all of the other aircraft in the air, and satellites and radar imaging that we have access to, I find that just a little bit hard to believe. And to be completely honest with you, if I was a citizen of Japan right now, I'd be pretty dang worried. I'd want to know what that thing was and what it was doing up there. Like I said before, the folks over in Japan have a reason to be concerned by this because that balloon could have been dropped by anyone and could be carrying anything, and I for one would want to know what it was if I was them. I'm a little surprised that their military didn't go and shoot this thing down to retrieve it and try to analyze it to see where it come from. But maybe they did and they just didn't tell anyone, because some of the witness accounts claimed that this balloon just disappeared in a puff of smoke when a helicopter approached it. Did it disappear, or was the balloon shot? I guess we'll have to wait and see if any more information comes out about this, but the Tic Tac UFO. I'm talking about the Aguadilla, Puerto Rico UFO incident of 2013. Now, some of you may have heard about this UFO incident, and some of you may not, but you know, for this being such an amazing UFO sighting, it seems that not many people talk about it. So what happened? Let's go back and take a look. It's April 25th, 2013. A pair of United States Customs and Border Patrol agents take off on board a routine patrol of the island of Puerto Rico. They are on board their Havilland DHC-8, or Dash 8 as it's referred to. The CBP-8 is equipped with a state-of-the-art L3 Westcam MX-15D thermal imaging system. Back in 2013, this thing was top of the line. Shortly after takeoff at about 9:20 p.m. local time, the CBP pilot noticed a strange pink or red light over the ocean that was approaching from the south. The pilot was alarmed because the control tower had not advised them of any other air traffic. So the pilot contacted the tower, who confirmed that they had a visual on this object, but they could not identify what it was. It wasn't responding to hails on the radio, and it had no transponder signal. As the UFO approached the land, the pilot noticed that the light on it had turned out, and so he lost visual contact. He notified the technician that was on board the Dash 8 with him, who began imaging with the infrared systems. This is what they filmed. Here we see this UFO in the thermal imaging systems. Hotter objects are dark in this view, so you can clearly see the definition of the UFO, and that it's hotter than the surrounding areas. This little guy is being extremely difficult for this technician to track, but he does a great job. Here, when he switches camera modes, he gets ahead of the thing a little bit. There it is. Check that baby out. It's just cooking right along. One estimate places the speed of the UFO at about 100 miles per hour. Whew! What is this thing doing out there? It just popped up out of the ocean and is circling over this small coastal town, just checking things out?
Can other long-distance companies offer you all AT&T can?
Wake up! Hey, wake up!
The mystery into whether or not we're alone in the universe has been a constant question for over 6 decades.
Oh, geez, that's great. Is the lighting halfway, David?
Yes, indeed. They've got the flag up now.
Hello out there everybody, Manny here at Area 503, and I hope that you all have been well since our last video. And I just want to say I'm a little sorry for the rough startup here with the live stream, but thank you all for joining me here today. And if you're catching this on the replay, thanks for coming by and catching it on the replay, even if you couldn't catch it live. I've got some interesting stuff to talk about today, and first of all, it's World UFO Day 2020, so happy World UFO Day, everybody. I hope it's a good one, and I hope that you're enjoying the nice weather and getting ready for the 4th of July, and today we're going to talk about everything UFO. 15th, 8:22 p.m., and this UFO is first spotted hovering high in the clouds.
Where is it? Right there on the cloud.
I honestly didn't think much of this sighting at first, but it gets more interesting as it progresses. Just watch and see. But for now, all that we can tell is that something is there, and it appears to be just hovering in place, and it's got a kind of triangular shape, and it appears to be reflecting sunlight.
So weird.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. And it's going to get a lot weirder, because this UFO hung around for another 10 minutes or so. It's been here for 20 minutes already, and the witness also said that whatever this thing is, they felt like it just didn't belong there, hovering over their city like that. And I for one agree with them. If this thing was hovering over Portland, I'd be calling the FAA, NORAD, Batman, and Spider-Man.
Batman! Batman! Oh, come on!
Hello out there everybody, Manny here at Area 503, and I hope that y'all have been well since our last video. Today's video is obviously going to be a little slightly different format than I'm used to. For one, I'm joined by my creative director and associate producer, Prince Dubois. He's right back there doing what he does best. Anyhow, today I've got some pretty cool UFO footage to show you guys. Fortunately, Gutter's got himself a pretty good camera, so he's going to be able to get a nice zoom on this object, whatever it is. Whoa. What the hell is that? Look at how reflective it is. Look at it just hovering there, and it's just kind of spinning and rotating. Wow, that's pretty dang strange. What do you make of that?
In the same way that life is transferred around different habitats on planet Earth, you might like to consider that space can also act as one big system, and life is a part of it. And in some ways, that's already true. Have you ever seen a shooting star? Meteor showers are common and can be observed from many parts of the world. We already know that there has been, and still is, an exchange of materials between Earth and Mars, because we have evidence from Martian meteorites that landed here. Space is such an active place, So it's quite possible that some life forms hitched a ride from one planet to another.
Now you have it, folks. There's the car. How do you like the wheels on that baby? ESA is going to subtly hint at the idea that human beings came from Mars. Perhaps. Possibly. Could have. Was sent into the channel by a viewer named James. James drew this awesome map showing us the UFO's movement to help us get an idea of how it was traveling while he was witnessing it. This is the first video. The object is clearly moving in one direction, and then it pauses and disappears for a second. Then it reappears, but it's moving at a 90-degree angle to its previous movement. That's pretty strange. And now it's pulsing red light for some reason. What's that all about? Why is it white most of the time and now red right here for some reason? The only thing that I can think of to explain that is that this footage was shot at about 9 o'clock p.m., which I'm guessing was around sunset. So this might be some sort of orange light reflecting off the UFO from the horizon of the sunset. It's only a theory, but it's the only one that I got at this point. Is it the light of a distant star or galaxy? I don't think so, because Sam said that he checked the Sky app and it didn't show anything like that. So what does that leave us with? It could be something like a Google Loon Balloon or something like that. Those will hang around for a while sometimes, and they appear white like this. And I know that they have similar projects overseas, so we can't rule out that this is some sort of large balloon of some kind, either a weather balloon or a communications balloon. What else could it be? What do you all think they are? Let me know in the comment section below. Let's get some eyes on these sightings, and maybe we can figure out what they are together. The first piece of news that I'd like to talk about is the formal announcement of a recent study that was completed on board the International Space Station, where scientists were able to create a more stable form of a theorized fifth state of matter. Now we all know about the traditional forms of matter, right? Solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. So what is this fifth form of matter? It's known as a Bose-Einstein condensate, or a BEC. And why is it an important discovery? Because the creation of these BECs allows you to fabricate quantum-sized mechanical objects. Essentially, they're quantum tools that we can then form in any shape that we need. The Cold Atom Lab experiment on the ISS was a huge success, mainly due to the microgravity. And other experiments have been performed in microgravity to achieve some amazing results as well. For example, 3D printed organs were being tested on Earth, however the gravity would pull these organs apart before they could be completed. A similar test conducted in microgravity showed that the 3D printed organs were able to hold up under their own weight and be printed successfully. This amazing discovery really made me open my eyes, and it made me question why the first public man-made low Earth orbit facility is going to be a hotel. And it's not going to be a microgravity surgical suite where patients are transferred up for organ transplant and recovery and then return home afterwards. As always, the links for my research for this video are in the description below. Use those links to go out and read the information for yourself. Then, make up your own mind.
Figuring things out for yourself is the only freedom anyone really has. Use that freedom. Make up your own mind.
Unidentified flying objects, UFO.
Yo, big science news this week. Apparently aliens are real.
Oh shit!
Today I want to give you guys a condensed version of the last 3 years in mainstream media disclosure in about 90 minutes. So grab some popcorn, get a Coke, do whatever you gotta do. Just hang on, because it's going to be a fun ride. Let's start back in early October 2017.
Try and stabilize this.
Yeah, that'll really help when I track this thing later.
I can't believe I'm actually catching this.
Believe it, dude.
This is insane. Like, look at it bounce all over the place.
Let's figure out what it is.
Yeah, try and get some background in here. It's dark. You can't even see it very well when I back out, but there.
Yeah, that's because the light from the streetlights there floods the aperture of the camera, bleeding out the UFO.
It's definitely moving.
Okay, I understand that there's only so still that you can hold a camera by hand. But I really don't think all of this movement comes from camera shake, or we would have seen the streetlights shaking when he panned down as well.
What the? It's like all over the place, man. Bouncing around. That is not a star. That thing is flickering and bouncing, zigzagging.
Wow, that's pretty cool. We got stuff flying every which direction right here. To begin with, it certainly appears that a whole bunch of stuff comes flying out of the bottom right here. And again, I think that that is just condensation that's been frozen in the exhaust port of these thrusters. And when they're firing, it's dislodging that stuff outwards. And here we have another 1, 2, 3 objects that look like satellites to me because they're just moving in straight lines. And there was much celebration on board. Yahoo! And I couldn't help but notice that you guys got an Area 503 poster up there as well as the Dragon capsule. Well done.
Thank you very much.
No guys, thank you. First, let's talk about this Nature article interviewing Peter Shor, who played a pivotal role in the development of modern quantum computers. In this article, they ask several questions that I found intriguing. First, they asked about his role in making quantum computers feasible for everyday tasks. It turns out that Peter's algorithm was instrumental in allowing quantum computers to function more like modern computers, which are capable of handling a wide variety of different forms of tasks. So this opened the door for modern quantum computing, because before that you had to program a quantum computer to solve a specific equation, much in the way that you had to program an old ENIAC computer using punch cards. When quantum computers can factor large prime numbers, will that enable them to break RSA? So it seems there is some concern over the implications, and Peter answers yes. But the first people who break RSA either are going to be the NSA, the US National Security Agency, or some other big organization. At first, these computers will be slow. If you have a computer that can only break, say, 1 RSA key per hour, anything that's not a high priority or a national security risk is not going to be broken. The NSA has much more important things to use their quantum computer on than reading your email. They'll be reading the Chinese ambassador's email. Sure, like the NSA doesn't want to read our emails. I think a guy named Edward Snowden might disagree with you on that one. Which was the recent sightings of a person operating a jetpack near the Los Angeles International Airport. Check out this news report from September.
The FAA and FBI are investigating a startling report of what they're calling an airspace intruder, a man wearing a jetpack. The FAA says 2 airline crews reported the close encounter Sunday night approaching Los Angeles International Airport. Chris Van Cleve is following the investigation for us. Chris, good morning to you. What do we know?
Well, good morning. Investigators are skeptical it was, in fact, a jetpack, but talk about a high-flying mystery in the skies over Los Angeles. Did 2 pilots really see a man with a jetpack at 3,000 feet?
Tower, American 1997. We just passed a guy in a jetpack.
Then another jetpack sighting moments later from a Southwest pilot.
Southwest 962, we just saw the guy pass by us.
Jetpacks like this one from LA-based Jetpack Aviation are not common. Only a handful of companies in the world make them, and they are not commercially available. The company says their technology was not involved. Jetpack Aviation CEO confirmed to CBS News he has been in touch with the FAA about the technology, but says their aircraft does not have enough fuel to get a person to 3,000 feet and back to the ground safely. Adding, they are loud, so it seems unlikely no one on the ground would notice it taking off, flying, or landing. And then there's this from the air traffic controller.
JetBlue 23, Wisconsin.
person in a jetpack reported 300 yards south of the LA final at about 3,000 feet.
723, we're heard. You're definitely looking.
We're moving from there.
Oh, what the hell? That is interesting right there. Wow. Wow.
So at first I didn't think much of this sighting, other than you can kind of make out the shape of a snake UFO, or whatever these things are. But then I processed this video for a zoom, and it began to get a little more interesting. Check this out. In the first part here, you can clearly see the snake shape that I was talking about. Doesn't look all that different than the other ones, but then watch what this thing does here. Whatever this thing is, it flares up, and then it merges together into a solid form. Cool. I mean, weird, but it's cool. A woman was looking out a window of her house and she noticed a strange object floating by in the distance. She captured this footage.
Honey, can you come here? I'm in the kitchen.
Wow, if that's the view from your kitchen, I can only imagine the view from your dining room. But as you guys can see, everyone responds differently to the unknown, and that is entirely understandable, as we are a planet of 7 billion different people, with 7 billion different perspectives. What else would you expect? And speaking of unique perspectives, I used a little bit of my own to title our last group of UFO sightings. Blazing Red Balls. No, spheres. I first started looking into these types of sightings a few months back when I discovered this photograph. It's a long exposure photograph where they leave the camera shutter open for a longer amount of time than normal. This is commonly used in astronomy to photograph distant stars and galaxies. And over the years, I have looked at hundreds, if not thousands, of these types of photographs, and I've never seen one quite like this that has what appears to be a blazing red sphere. I have no idea, but I'll tell you what it isn't. It isn't a satellite. It isn't the ISS. It isn't a parachute flare. It isn't a helicopter. It isn't an airplane. And it sure as heck ain't no swamp gas.
I thought it was like higher, like it was an airplane.
It's not really moving like an airplane. Okay. First this thing was moving to the left, now it's moving back to the right. That sure as hell ain't no airplane.
Or it disappears.
It's on Dad's camera. It's on Dad's camera. If it was a meteor thing, it wouldn't be drifting. It would go fast. It might be like a line of. Remember we saw like the line of satellites? No. They were like this. One was like there. What could that be? Like I don't know. My phone can't catch it. They're sending bombs.
Well, I really don't think it's a bomb, dude. But I do have to agree with your assessment that this isn't a meteor, and I don't think it's a Starlink satellite either. It all began when a couple of campers decided to spend the night out of doors in a remote part of California. As night fell, they began to see some strange lights shining beams beneath them flying over a canyon nearby. And the following morning, they made a remarkable and mysterious discovery. They tried to shoot some video, but for some reason, none of it turned out. I was able to get some good, clear audio from it though, and I used this along with the witness statements to recreate the event. Check this out.
Alright, so I turned the camera back on. We're seeing even more of these lights. Let's get the, what is today's date? It's October 16th, 2020, right? Yeah. So just we have that, recorded. Let's hit him again. This is sort of like, you know, in Close Encounters, the way they communicate with them. Oh yeah, look at that! 2 of them! 2. That one just came up. Down. 3. Yep. Look at that! There's f***ing 3 of them down there. One did, see, he just passed one, and a shooting star.
They're always with shooting stars. This is pretty wild.
So tomorrow in daylight, we got to see what the hell is. I think there's like, cause we just came out of that rocky canyon. I'm pretty sure there's a cliff face there. We got to see like what's up there. They might be checking out. You would think they would come up here and check us out, because you know if they're that advanced, they freaking know we're here.
Remember when the witnesses said that the next day they should go down and investigate the area where the UFOs were spotted? Well, the following morning as the sun came up, that is precisely what our fearless adventurers did. They set off to investigate the canyon where the UFOs were located, and they found something pretty interesting. Check this out. Not far from the camp, in the canyon where the UFOs were spotted, they came across a strange device. It was a small, unmarked box next to a hole in the ground. What? In the middle of nowhere? And there were some strange lights spotted in this area the night before? This can't be a coincidence, can it? I mean, what are the odds? Let's talk about Planet 9. Just what is Planet 9? In a nutshell, when scientists began building a complex model of our solar system, a problem presented itself. There were some irregular orbits of these trans-Neptunian objects, or TNOs. This could only be explained by a massive gravitational force in the outer reaches of the solar system. One possible solution to this problem is a theoretical 9th planet with a massive and highly irregular orbit of approximately 10,000 Earth years, which is news that a meteorite that I reported on back in episode 23 was tested and found to contain extraterrestrial organic compounds. That's right, alien life. This particular meteorite came down over Michigan back in 2018, and scientists recently completed a study based upon their test results. They confirmed that they had found thousands of extraterrestrial organic compounds that had formed billions of years ago during the early stages of our solar system. Amazing! Now, all over the world, more and more people are discussing alien life openly, as if disclosure has already occurred. Well, now we know for sure that life from off of this world is indeed coming down, and frequently. So let's hope that none of that life is like it was in Andromeda strain.
Did you see that?
I saw it. You didn't change the lighting?
I didn't touch it. Looks alive.
Yes.
Or Slither.
What is it?
Oh.
What the?
Grant!
Ugh. The first piece of footage was shot by somebody who was out trying to shoot the moon. They spotted this odd UFO and shot some footage of it instead. That's interesting. It doesn't look like an airplane from this angle. Maybe it's a bunch of balloons reflecting sunlight. I don't know. Could be anything. It's going to be hard to make any good guesses until we can get a better look at this thing. Computer.
Yes, Mimi.
Track the UFO in the clip from 28 to 52 seconds, enlarge, enhance, and stabilize the region. Then display. God, what is that? A witness was filming this storm when they caught something that was moving fast. Whoa, check that out. Let's try to get a better look at it. Computer. Here, we can definitely get a better look at this thing, but it doesn't stick around for long. It almost looks like this UFO punches down through the clouds and leaves a trail behind it. Gosh, that's pretty weird. Let's slow it down and see if we can get a better look. Here at 1/3 speed, we can finally get a real good look at this thing, and you can clearly see the trail behind the UFO. That is one fast-moving, bright UFO. You can totally understand why the witness thought it was odd and decided to record it. But right away, I have to tell you guys that I've seen something like this before. Computer, pull up the archive footage of the ISS, clip 47 Bravo, and display next to the UFO footage. Looking at the two clips side by side, I'm fairly certain that this was the International Space Station. What do you guys think? Computer, extract the geotagged date, time, and location of the sighting from the footage and cross-reference it with the known location of the International Space Station. So the ISS was indeed over New York at the time. Well, there you go. Obviously, monoliths have been a part of our culture for quite some time. But what exactly is a monolith? Computer, can you define a monolith for us?
A monolith is a large single upright block of stone, especially one serving as a pillar or monument. Notable examples include Stonehenge and the Easter Island statues.
Monolith was clearly man-made art, and it was discovered in November 2020. But how long had it been there? Computer, cross-reference the location of the Utah monolith with public satellite imagery on the internet and find the date of the first sighting.
The monolith in Utah first appeared in satellite imagery in late 2015 to early 2016.
I wonder how many more of these things popped up. Computer, were there any other more monolith sightings after the ones in Utah and Romania?
Globally, there were a total of 163 monolith sightings documented between November 18, 2020 and January 13, 2021. The majority of these monoliths were constructed of stainless steel and hollow. However, no two were identical. Some were stenciled with art. Some were stenciled with writing. One monolith was completely black, and one was made of gingerbread.
Computer, give us the lowdown on asteroid Apophis.
Originally discovered by astronomers in 2004, Object 99942 was confirmed as a potentially hazardous near-Earth object a year later in 2005. The name Apophis was chosen by the co-discoverers of the asteroid who were fans of the show Stargate SG-1. The asteroid is approximately 1,500 feet or 450 meters in length and 600 feet or 170 meters in width. The composition of the asteroid is predominantly stony silicate materials and a mixture of metallic nickel and iron.
Thank you, Computer. So, Apophis is about the size of 3 football fields. It's a huge, solid piece of rock, and it's been banging around our solar system for quite some time, only to be discovered back in 2004.
April to July, the final time. The end, my friend, is not near. The hour, in fact, is quite here.
Now, before you get all freaked out and go running down the street screaming that the sky has fallen, the first piece of news is that an unusual piece of rock found its way into the Oval Office. Check this out. This rock was collected off the moon during the Apollo 17 mission. In a statement released by NASA, they said, in symbolic recognition of earlier generations' ambitions and accomplishments.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
And support for America's current Moon to Mars exploration approach, a moon rock now sits in the Oval Office of the White House. And I have to tell you guys that I'm extremely encouraged by this seemingly trivial detail, because anyhow, whoever the next administrator is, I truly hope that they can keep NASA moving in the right direction as well. I guess only time will tell. For now, let's move along to our last piece of news, which is that the Perseverance rover and Ingenuity helicopter will be landing on Mars next week on February 18th.
Fly right maneuver, where the spacecraft will jettison the entry balance masses in preparation for parachute deploy and to roll over to give the radar a better look at the ground.
Indicate chute deploy.
The navigation has confirmed that the parachute has deployed and we are seeing significant deceleration in the velocity. Our current velocity is 480 meters per second at an altitude of about 12 kilometers from the surface of Mars.
Heat shield set.
Perseverance is now slowed to subsonic speeds and the heat shield has been separated. This allows both the radar and the cameras to get their first look at the surface. Current velocity is 145 meters per second at an altitude of about 9.5 kilometers above the surface. We have completed our terrain relative navigation. Current speed is about 30 meters per second, altitude of about 300 meters off the surface of Mars. We have started our constant velocity accordion, which means we are conducting the sky crane, about to conduct the sky crane maneuver. Sky crane maneuver has started. about 20 meters off the surface.
We're getting signals from MRO. Tango Delta.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars, ready to begin seeking the sands of past life.
I invite you now to, if you would like to close your eyes and just imagine yourself sitting on the surface of Mars and listening to the surroundings. It's cool. It's really neat, overwhelming, if you will. I can't remember what I was going to go and say next.
I totally agree, dude. It is overwhelming, and it's amazing. I wonder if it's some kind of lens flare. Computer, target the row of lights in Sector 237. Isolate and invert them, then overlay them on top of the UFOs and display. Look at that. I don't know about you guys, but that looks remarkably similar to me. I really do think that this is a lens flare from this row of lights down here. Computer, what are the chances that the bank of lights in Sector 237 are responsible for the UFO?
There is an 82.3% chance the UFO is caused by the bank of lights in Sector 237.
Thank you, computer. So it seems that these folks might not have seen a UFO after all, but at least they did get to smoke a bowl at Niagara Falls. Let's get a better look at this. Computer, stabilize and zoom the UFO and then overlay an enhanced image. Well, that's obviously that's gotta be a... You know, I have to admit to you guys, I'm a little bit stumped here. I really don't have any idea what that is. Check this out. At first I had no idea what this was. It looks like something coming down hard and fast, and maybe it's on fire. I mean, look at that plume behind this thing. That's pretty dang strange. But you know what? The more that I looked at this footage, the less I think that it's something on fire. It almost looks like it's contrails or jet exhaust of some kind. I mean, Carlos did film some other planes while he was out there. And maybe this first clip was just red because it was shot at sunset. You know, I'll bet you that's it. Simply a jet shot at sunset. A jet at sunset, a jet at sunset. This is a song about jets at sunset. Just remember, Manny, sibilance is a thing. Computer, what can you tell us about Oumuamua?
Formally designated 1I 2017 U1, Oumuamua was discovered in 2017 and has been identified as the first known interstellar visitor. The orbital path and speed of Oumuamua were used to determine that the object originated somewhere in the Vega star system. Telescopic readings of Oumuamua showed it to be a cigar-shaped object approximately 3,000 feet or 1,000 meters in length. Oumuamua's trajectory was altered after it passed by our sun. Scientists concluded this was caused by the Yarkovsky effect.
I started seeing articles that mentioned that a Harvard professor believed that Oumuamua was alien. Well, you know I had to check that out. Let's take a look.
This is the very first object that we have detected from outside the solar system that entered the solar system and passed near the Earth.
And that makes me wonder, why all of a sudden re-interest in Oumuamua and Mr. Loeb's opinion on it? It almost seems like it's some kind of massive marketing campaign. That makes me wonder. Computer, scan the news for Mr. Avi Loeb and see if there's any news not directly related to Oumuamua.
Yes, Manny. Scanning. Eliminating Oumuamua data. On January 26, 2021, Avi Loeb published a non-fiction book titled Extraterrestrial. The book reached number 7 on the New York Times bestsellers list.
What? Avi, are you kidding me? So January 26, you put out a book, and then you go on all these talk shows and get these interviews, and it shoots up to number 7 on the bestseller list. Well, I'm disappointed. And the Raptors are going to reignite here.
I know. Oh, there we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. There.
Uh-oh.
I don't think so.
Okay, now I'm no Werner von Braun.
Dr. Werner von Braun, who is at present the Chief of the Guided Missile Division of the Army's Rocket Center at Redstone Arsenal. He was also overall director of the development of the original V-2 rocket.
But I don't think that went down exactly the way that they had planned. And look at poor SN10 sitting there on the launch pad, right next to where its brother came down. That thing's probably thinking, gee, I hope they can fix that before I go up.
4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. We got liftoff.
And the SN10 test went according to plan, for the most part. SN10 made it through all of the tests that SN9 made it through. But let's watch the landing here. Oof. Looks like she came down a little hard there. But that's okay, because this test was all about the launch and the soft landing to get real-world data for the scientists at SpaceX. So that's not so much of a problem, nor is this little bit of fire here at the end. Or is it? Just about 5 minutes after the landing, this happened.
Oh God, it just blew up. It just blew up. It just blew up. What?
My initial reaction is that this might be some kind of a missile test, or possibly a jet of some kind. Computer, get the time and location of this sighting from the metadata information, and scan public databases to see if there is a commercial aircraft anywhere in the vicinity.
There were no known commercial aircraft in the area at the time of the sighting.
And it kind of looks like this thing changed directions, but it's hard to tell because the camera position seems to have changed as well. Computer, bring up the two images side by side. Using the wall as a point of reference, line up the two images, then overlay and display. Well, that's not quite right. These stars should be lined up and they're not. Okay then. Computer, bring up both images side by side, and using the stars as a point of reference, resize and reposition, then overlay and display. Aha, so that gives us a better idea as to the movement of this object. Where it looked like before that it had changed its course, now you can clearly see that that was a trick of perceived retrograde motion, and that whatever this thing is, it was moving in a straight line. It's so bizarre. What could it be? It made me wonder if this was someone filming a computer monitor or a television. But when they pan out, you can see that the footage is live and that they're shooting outdoors. So that can't be the case. It's damned strange, and so I want to post a friendly challenge to you all. I challenge you to go out on the internet and find a piece of footage that I can verify that looks like this one, where it pixelates and ripples. If any one of you can find a piece of similar footage and post it in the comment section below, I'll pin your comment and feature you in a follow-up video. So the challenge has been made and the gauntlet thrown, and if you want a chance to be in an Area 503 video, get out there and start looking for UFO videos that look like this one. Which took place about 160 miles above the planet Earth. This one was sent to me by a friend of mine who had found a video someone made where they had spotted some UFOs during the SpaceX Transporter-1 launch, and they'd asked me what I thought about it. So I went and checked it out. Let's take a peek. Wow, that is some pretty interesting footage. If that's a UFO, it's massive, but I'm not convinced that it is a UFO. It looks like it's a part of the spacecraft, perhaps a fairing from the stage separation. Well, since they were nice enough to give us a link to the original live feed, I figured I'd go take a look for myself, since you guys know I love a good launch. So here we go. 5, 4,
3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition and liftoff.
Man, that always gets my blood pumping. We should see the bigger, rounded object that we saw earlier here in a second. Yep, there it is, right on schedule. There it is. So what is it? Well, I have an idea. Let's go back to that stage separation that I mentioned earlier. Here we can see the first and second stages of the rocket separating. And you see the fairing separate as well. The fairing is like a temporary shell that goes over a second stage to protect it during the first part of its journey, and then it breaks away when needed to separate the parts of the spacecraft. Oftentimes during these separations, you get debris like explosive bolts, and you'll see panels from the spacecraft as well, and occasionally you see the fairing itself. Like right here, when the fairing separates, you see the same semicircular shape as our UFO, because two of these pieces come together to make a housing over the spacecraft. And that's exactly what happened at 2 minutes and 59 seconds into the Transporter-1 mission. The fairings separated and debris drifted away. Then a few minutes later, it came drifting back by below.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
In a world dominated by mainstream media, news for profit, misinformation, and fake news, who can you trust?
For nearly the last decade, I ran a sensitive aerospace threat identification program focusing on unidentified aerial technologies. It was in this position I learned that the phenomena is indeed real.
So who can you turn to?
Disclosure Tonight! Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Disclosure Tonight! We have an amazing show in store for you folks, including a special guest host from Area 503, the search for universal truth. It's Manny! With special guest, the Area 503 computer, Lead the Demon, Cynthia Fliplip, Luis Elizondo, and a special guest appearance by Tyler of Secure Team 10. Disclosure tonight. Buckle into your UFOs. It's going to be the ride of your life.
Disclosure tonight. Fact or fiction? But about those videos, I gotta ask, what the heck happened with all that, dude?
I believe the Roswell UFO incident to be a fiction.
So, what does a massive living UFO eat?
Anything it wants to.
Coming soon to Area 503.
Damn it.
Today I want to talk to you all about the Mandela effect. You heard me right, the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect.
Anyhow, Sci-Fi has also confirmed new shows starting next season. One of them stars Steve Buscemi as an alien that crash-landed on Earth and takes a job as a Texas Ranger. It's called Mr. Pink, Texas Ranger. And there's even another series in the works that stars 4 aliens that have crash-landed on Earth and take jobs working for the US government as a crack commando unit that goes underground after a wrongful conviction and hides out in the LA underground. If you have a problem, and if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the Alien Team. That's right, folks. It's all true, and you heard it first here on Disclosure Tonight. We've got some amazing guests in store for you folks tonight, and we're going to bring them out and get to know them in just a few moments, right after these very special words from our very special sponsors.
Disclosure Tonight. My artificial intelligence DNA contributor planted me for a full lunar cycle for failing my quantum mechanical engineering exam. It's so boring. So now I can't even go watch this Snarf game over in the Andromeda Galaxy, and all the boys will be there.
Yes, Manny. Hello, Lou. You seem like quite the life of the party. Have you learned about tequila?
Next up on Fact or Fiction, the infamous TR3B.
The TR3B? That is one of the best blends of fondue here in the underworld. But it's nowhere near as good as the fondue in your green room, Manny, and that is a fact.
There is a 31.3% probability that Bigfoot is alive and well. Small groups of Bigfoot live scattered all around the world. However, the largest concentration is located underneath the continent of Antarctica. There, a secret base exists where the Bigfoot live in peace, along with Elvis Presley, Jimmy Hoffa, Tupac, reptilian aliens, and the ghost of Jack Parsons. At least, that is what the conspiracy theory subreddit told me.
Cynthia, what do you think? Is the Stargate fact or fiction?
Oh, those silly things. No one uses Stargates anymore, Manny. But yes, they are in fact real. I mean, we still have a couple on our planet, but the only time they are used is when Jack O'Neill and the SG-1 come to visit and bring us pizza. Yabba.
Everyone knows that my Earth has the best pizza, Cynthia. Next on Fact or Fiction. Disgraced financier Jeffrey died while in police custody under some suspicious conditions. It was ruled as... What do you guys think? Is that a fact or fiction?
I tend to agree with Mr. Elizondo here for once, Manny, but I do not have his file in my caseload. Let me ask my buddy Joe. I think he got that one. Hey Joe, that new guy Jeff, did he actually kill himself? Oh. Joe says, not a chance in hell.
Well, I'm sure I speak for the audience here when I say that we're all glad to hear that you are feeling better.
Yeah, thanks. I am feeling better. Thank you. Thank you all for your concern. It was pretty serious there for a while, but I have what can only be described as a massive need to get back to making quality and fantastic, entertaining videos for my subscribers.
Hey, that's great news, and like I said, we're all glad to hear that you're feeling better. But about those videos, I gotta ask, what the heck happened with all that, dude?
What happened with what? I really don't know what you're talking about, man.
Next on... You Make the Call. The East Bank Cylinder UFO sighting of 2015. Tyler, you're up first. You make the call.
Well, guys, I think that this object can only be described as a cigar-shaped UFO hovering silently above the city.
Analysis of the UFO captured in the Trent UFO photos indicates that there is a 78.2% probability that the object is an experimental World War II drone captured during Operation Overcast, the precursor to Operation Paperclip. What I want to know is, where did the Germans find it?
Yeah, that's pretty curious, computer. Maybe we'll dig into that a little bit more when we get back home. Next up on You Make the Call. This unknown object was filmed attacking Portland, Oregon in 2017. Tyler, you're up first. You make the call.
In this footage, we can clearly see what can only be described as a massive turkey-shaped UFO attacking the city. And you saw it first on Secure Team 10.
No, we didn't, Tyler. Thank you all for joining us here this evening on Disclosure Tonight. What an amazing audience that we have this evening. You guys are the best. Some of you guys have asked me why I decided to do this project. Well, I'll let you in on a little secret. If you haven't already noticed by my Easter eggs and my outros, I've got a little bit of a sense of humor.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.
But in my day-to-day videos, I'm always trying to rein it in. So you guys only get about 1% of my total humor capacity. So anyhow, one night I was just sitting around after finishing another video that I had been working on, and I was goofing around. And I was thinking about those videos that Tyler at Secure Team 10 made right before he disappeared. And I remember thinking to myself, there is no way that this guy is going to own up to what he did and apologize to his fans. And there was no chance for an apology, and I wondered if I could edit together an apology video for him out of those videos that he had made. So I sat down and just for fun, I made that video, Secure Team 10, the greatest apology video never made. And from there, it just kind of snowballed into a 3-month project that included over 300 pages of scripts, animation, sketches, and notes, 45 gigabytes of footage and images, and 68 individual video sub-projects. And that was just a technical aspect. That didn't include creating a whole talk show. So what exactly goes into making a full hour-long talk show? Well, holy cow, it took a whole lot more work than I originally thought it would, I'll tell you that. So first I had to figure out what goes into a talk show. So when I said that I had binge-watched a little bit of Arsenio Hall, well, I actually had. And also, a little bit of Jimmy Kimmel, Jon Stewart, Conan, and even some old Hee Haw reruns. Y'all come back now, you hear? So the first thing that I had to come up with was a good introduction for the show. This led to the creation of the Disclosure Tonight intro. The The introduction for the show was all built around the music.
We have an amazing show in store for you folks, including a special guest host.
The music was the perfect length and tempo, and it fit the needs for the introduction. So I wrote the script for the intro host based around the music, and I sketched out the whole segment. Then I had to head on over to After Effects to make the talk show host. Once the host was done, I needed to put her down on the background layers. I had picked these specific clips because they all had an outdoor and a nighttime feel, which gave a great nighttime talk show atmosphere. Once the host and the background were done, I had to add myself into the animation, as well as the Disclosure Tonight logo, but something was still missing. So I created these 2 Disclosure Tonight title sequences to just kind of spice things up a little bit. So I added a 3D camera tracker to the base title segment. Then I attached my title and my logo. And then, when you apply it all together, you get the introduction title segment for Disclosure Tonight. Not too shabby, huh? So now that we got the introduction, what's next? Well, it's the stand-up segment where the host talks directly to the audience, in the studio and at home. So I threw together the stage and off we go. A few base animations, and voila, we have the stand-up bit. If you have a problem, and if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the Alien Team. So after the stand-up bit, we're going to need us a stage so that we can bring our guests out. So now we got a set, which is where all of the action takes place. And this was kind of a complicated piece because I wanted to have the 4 guests on the main screen and then have that old TV in the corner where I could have guests come on the show later. But once the set was done, all I needed to do was add in myself and then add in the guests. Oh, guests. I guess we're going to need a few of those. But first, I just wanted to take a minute to announce that we have a winner in the UFO challenge that I proposed to you folks back in episode 96. And then lastly, Tay-Tay joined the conversation, writing, I found this P900 zoom in on a blue star. It's kind of similar depending on how far away it was shot. I'd guess it's a star. Oh, and Tay-Tay gave us a link. Let's go take a peek. But first, I'd just like to take a moment to say thank you to Senor Il S for giving me permission to use this footage where they filmed a blue star with the Nikon P900. Well, the more I looked at these 2 videos side by side, the more convinced I was that Tay-Tay's theory was correct and that these are the same object, most likely a blue star, but one of the pieces of footage was filmed with a cell phone, and the other was filmed with a top-of-the-line camera. So I feel pretty confident saying this here. I'd like to announce the winner of the episode 96 UFO Challenge, Tay-Tay! So congratulations to Tay-Tay, and true to my word, I pinned your comment in episode 96 and featured you in this video. And I just want to say thank you to all of you who participated for helping us all get a little bit better at identifying UFOs. And with that, we will move along to our first sighting, which took place over Sweden. A witness was dropping their daughter off at the ferry station and snapped a few photos of the moon. Later, while reviewing the photos, they noticed these strange lights in the sky. Well, that's not good. And I say not good because I was already getting the impression that this might be a lens flare or a reflection of some kind from the bank of lights down on the deck of the boat. Because that is always a huge red flag to me that a UFO might be a reflection when the witnesses didn't see the UFO with the naked eye. Because reflections like this won't be seen with the naked eye, but they will show up in the camera footage. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and
Excuse me. Excuse me.
And we'll move.
Excuse me. I would like to tell you what I think.
Oh snap! It's Tommy the Troll. Okay, Tommy, let's hear what you gotta say.
Okay, Manny. I just felt the need to tell you how big of an idiot you are. But first I have to impress everyone with my Studley theme song. I mean, my credentials.
Look out, folks, here comes Tommy the Troll. He's a know-it-all about UFOs. He's got shit brown skin and a cold dead stare. He can't identify anything in the air. He doesn't care if he's wrong or right. He's gonna scream his points all day and night.
Balloon, balloon, CGI, another hoaxer, I hope they die. I'll chew them up and I'll spit them out, but all I'm really doing is riding on their cloud. Lens flare, satellite, I'm gonna debunk hoaxers till the day I die. I was there at Roswell, it was just a balloon. People who say otherwise is just a buffoon. I was even there for the Phoenix Lights. It was a bunch of helicopters giving people the frights. I've been busting fingers for millions of years. When hoaxers hear my name, it brings them to tears. But I'm too lazy to find UFOs, so I debunk others' work on my live stream shows. Super chat, super chat, super chat. Gonna ride this wave till I get big and fat. You better not post any UFOs, cause look out, bitch, here comes Tommy the Troll. I'm Tommy the Troll. I troll him so that you don't have to.
Wow, Tommy, that's a pretty cool intro, but what are you doing here?
What am I doing here? I just felt the need to inform you that you are an idiot.
The witness wrote the following statement. After taking out the trash late Tuesday, I observed what I thought was a bright star in the sky, and then it began to move in a floating leaf-like pattern. Intrigued, I watched it briefly and then went inside to get my phone to film it. I did this for a few minutes and realized there was another object horizontal in the sky to the first. It stayed mostly hidden, but I did capture it on video. These two videos were taken with my phone zoomed in at 100%. The first UFO seemed a little bit brighter and larger than the second. Sorry about the darkness of the video, I did my best. No apologies necessary. Thank you for doing your best. And since you took the time to notice this object and to film it and to ask for help identifying it, I figured the least we could do was take a quick look. Take a look at this footage. Right away I see what appears to be a red flash that could be an airplane marker light. And I bet you guys saw it too, so you're probably wondering, why is Manny showing us footage of an airplane? But I want to read to you the witness statement. I was walking my dog in the park, and I noticed my dog look up towards me, and for some reason this caused me to also look up, where I noticed the bright round object in the video that I captured. I heard absolutely nothing at all. This area does see its fair share of military helicopters, Osprey, Coast Guard aircraft, and E-2 Greyhounds. My father flew C-130s, and I've also seen them here as well. And all of those aircraft are loud. Sound here travels really far, especially at night, which is what drew my attention to this UFO, because I could detect no sound from it. I checked the Flight Radar 24 app to see if this was a commercial plane, and there were no aircraft visible. I also checked for satellites when I got home, and I didn't see any with the western trajectory. Not to say that they don't exist. But this thing wasn't moving satellite fast. It was moving more like a commercial airliner, but clearly it was not. And one final note, my eye did not detect the flashing that you can see in the video. It was definitely not flashing to the naked eye, as it is in the footage. This one was uploaded to YouTube by a guy named Franklin, who was very courteous and allowed me to use his footage and to answer a few questions for me. So let's take a look.
UFO.
It's fairly easy to see why this footage caught my eye. You can see a strange, U-shaped or oblong object that seems to be holding its position and moving rapidly across the sky in a straight heading. I can definitely understand why Franklin noticed this and decided to record it. I think I would have too. So like I said earlier, this thing looked almost U-shaped to me, so I asked Franklin about that. And he told me that it actually wasn't U-shaped at all. He said he looked at it through a 9-power scope and that it had 4 separate legs and that they were not perfectly aligned or straight. And he drew this drawing to give me a better visualization of it. Franklin said that the legs seemed to have a little bit of movement to them and that all of these details were revealed through the 9-power scope. But when you viewed the UFO from a distance, the legs appeared to blend together, almost like they were 2 pieces sticking out of the UFO. And this made me wonder. I know that it can get extremely windy in Las Vegas at times, and there are also a ton of swimming pools in the city. So I wonder if this might be some kind of an inflatable pool toy that got picked up by the wind and is flying by. Computer, isolate the shape of the UFO in the footage, and compensate for the details accounted for in Franklin's statement. Then search the internet for inflatable pool toys that match the description. Thank you, computer. Of these two, I like the Rhino the best. It's entirely possible that something similar to this could have gotten tossed into the air by a gust of wind and taken flight. If it were heavy enough, it would seem to just glide like this UFO does, because it would have enough weight behind it to resist getting knocked around by the wind while still being light enough to take flight. I asked Franklin about the pool toy theory, and he said that that really made him think, because that could possibly be it. And that's about the only explanation that I can come up with as far as something that was made on this Earth. What do you guys think? Is that a UFO? Well guys, for now, that's all I've got for UFO sightings. Let me know what you think about all of these sightings down in the comments section below. I'd love to get your opinions, and maybe if we work together, we can figure out what these things are. At least, that's my hopes. Alright guys, I'm out of here. I'll catch y'all later.
Wow! There you got it, folks. Clips and tidbits from all 100 Area 503 episodes. And that for sure is not every UFO sighting and topic that I've covered, but I did try to get you the best of the best.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr.
Happy birthday, 503. Happy birthday, 503. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, 503. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, 503. Sing it with me. Happy birthday, 503. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, 503. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, 503. And many more. And I gotta tell y'all, I really had a good time making each and every one of those 100 videos, and I just can't wait to make the next 100. I'm so glad that y'all joined me here today for my birthday celebration, and that you guys have joined me on my search for universal truth. A journey such as this is always more pleasant when you have someone to share it with. And so I want to say thank you to you folks as well, because I couldn't have done this without you. So thank you all again, and I'll catch y'all later. As always, this has been Manny at Area 503, and I wish you all the best until we meet again. And I am out of here to continue my search for universal truth.